So I think dealing with crazy people is something absolutely none of us enjoy. At least I hope there's no one out there that's like, I love when someone's ridiculously crazy. But this guy's neighbor apparently showed up at his door at 3 a.m., banging on the door, asking to fight him, when he had never met the guy before. That's living next to crazy, which is not what you want to do. Either way, I thought it would be an insane story, so yeah, without further ado, let's go.
Nice racking her ass Brazilian, just turned 21, but my bank's a million, swear.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. Here is yesterday's comment of the day. Appreciate everyone that takes the time to comment. Today I had a great story sent into my email about this dude's insane neighbor, so I figured I would make a video about it, and then I have a bunch of other good stories too that I wanted to put together, so this should be a long one. Hope y'all enjoy. If you like the long videos, press like and let's go. Alright, so this guy had just moved into a new house about like 4 days ago, and the people that live on the left and right of him had come over and told him that the guy who lives to the back left of him is a little bit nuts, and the guy who lived there before him had some beef with him. But whatever, there's no issue for 4 days, so he thinks that it's probably not that big of a deal. But one night, he's sleeping, and he thinks he hears knocking, but he's not that sure, and then his phone starts blowing up, and he had like one of those doorbells with the camera. And so he checks it, and he sees that it's being pressed over and over. So he pulls up the camera, and there's some dude that he doesn't recognize wearing nothing but a beanie, like the ones with the long ears, pounding on the door. He had pants on. He did have shorts on, but he's pounding on the door with like shorts and this bunny hat on, screaming about how they're gonna have to fight, and he better come out here so they can settle this like men, and he's made a mistake. And the person who sent this to me is sitting there, looking at their phone, watching this, being like, what is this guy upset about? They don't know this guy. They don't even recognize him. So they come over the intercom, like on their doorbell, and they start talking to the guy. And he says, what do you want? And the guy's like, I know that you put the fish in my backyard, and whoever put the fish in my backyard, I said I was going to beat him up, so get out here. And the sub is really confused because he didn't put fish in anyone's backyard. He doesn't know what the guy is talking about. So he tells the guy as much, like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do anything to your backyard. I've only lived here for 4 days. But you need to go or I'm going to call the police. And the guy looks like he's thinking a little bit, you know, when someone's got that do-do-do-do-do processing look. And he says, wait, you lived here for 4 days. Did you know? And then says someone's name. And he goes, no, I didn't know that guy. And he says, oh, well, I'm the guy that lives to the back left of you. My name is X. And he says, okay, yeah, I heard you didn't like the guy who lived here before, but I'm not him and I have nothing to do with him. Well, that guy, before he moved out, must have taken some fish and thrown them over my wall, and I was on vacation, so I came back, and there's a pile of dead, stinky fish in my backyard, and there's bugs and maggots everywhere. Which, I understand being mad, dude. Imagine coming home from vacation, someone dumped a bunch of dead fish in your backyard. I would be pissed too. So he thought the guy still lives here, started coming over to fix this fish situation. But it looked like the guy that had moved out had decided he was gonna have one last hurrah to troll his arch nemesis of the neighborhood. So he had like dumped all these fish over the wall. So you would think with this being solved and him realizing, oh, this isn't the guy that used to live here. Like, this guy is not the guy that did the fish thing. He would go home, maybe be a little bit apologetic for the fact that he woke him up attacking his door at 3 a.m. But instead, he looks at the doorbell and says, well, someone's got to pay for the fish in my backyard, so come out here because I want to fight you. And he's really confused, and he's like, yeah, I didn't do it. And Mr. Bunny Hat starts saying that he doesn't really care if he did it or not. At this point, he just wants to make somebody pay for the fish in his backyard. Which, yeah, it sucks, but I don't really think it's make someone have to pay worthy. Could you imagine if he ended up going full Batman evil villain? All these other evil villains, you know, have some huge goal. He's like, I just didn't like the fact that someone put fish in my backyard. So he tells the guy, like, yeah, I'm not gonna fight you, dude. I have nothing to do with that. And the guy in the bunny hat starts screaming at the doorbell even more, saying that he's a coward, and if he wasn't willing to come out there and face the consequences of his actions, then he was always gonna look at him as a coward. And he asks him, like, well, what do you mean I gotta come face the consequences of my action? If I have nothing to do with this, how is this my fault? And the neighbor really doesn't have a good answer. He just really wanted, like, him to come out and fight. It was like he was just looking for a fight. He had amped himself up to come fight his nemesis, and now he just wanted to fight some random dude. So he tells him, I'm not gonna fight you, and you need to get out of here, or I'm gonna call the cops. Like, I'm not messing around, man. This is serious. I'm not finding this amusing. This isn't funny. You gotta go. So the neighbor leaves back to his house, and the next day he's outside, and the guy who lives to the right to him says, what was all that yelling last night? So he tells him the story, and he starts saying that he had had another similar experience with this guy, where him and the guy who had moved out before the subscriber moved in had been fighting. And he had come to the wrong house looking for that guy, and when he answered the door and said, I'm not the person you're looking for, he said, well, whatever, you'll do. This guy just looks at life like it's a fighting video game, you know, just constantly looking for the next challenge, starts beef with people, and then just goes to fight someone that looks vaguely like them. Whatever, you know, you live in America, I'll fight you too. The guy I wanted to fight is American. Whatever, you're a human, I can fight you. He starts making the jump, he's like, sure, whatever, I fought a few house cats. It was what it was. Either way, they've all just decided they're gonna avoid this guy, and they're thinking about getting like a protective order just because he's threatened so many people in the neighborhood. But yeah, this dude's got some issues. I don't know what you do if your neighbor's just trying to fight you for something he made up in his head. Alright, so this next one, this person sent in to me, and they had just gotten to college and had their dorm room, and the way it was set up is like they shared a room with one person. There was a bathroom, and then there was another room with 2 people off of that bathroom, and that was like that dorm unit. So 4 people to a bathroom, 2 people in each room, so 2 bedrooms. And there was no living room or anything, so for the most part, people would hang out in their bedrooms. And the other 2 people in the room adjacent to his happened to have been friends for a while, like they had known each other in high school, they had applied here together, they had tried to get room together. So they got along very well, they were friends, and because of that, they would talk very loudly. And it's not like dorms are known for being incredibly fantastic building, like you can hear stuff pretty easily through the wall. They don't really splurge on materials, cause at least if it's similar to the college I went to, like they know people are gonna be there. They're not really worried about competing if it's the only on-campus housing. But whatever, they would talk loudly, and for the most part, it wasn't that big of a deal, except for late at night, it would kind of keep them up late. But on this particular night, it was the night before a bunch of midterm exams, so the entire building had said that they had to start quiet hours at like 8:30 p.m. just so everyone could study and like focus and not be distracted. Well, for some reason, the 2 guys in this room adjacent to his decided that that night they were going to debate Star Wars, and I don't really know much about Star Wars on the level of debating it. Like, I've seen them all, I like the movies, I like the Lego games, but I wouldn't know enough to start debating it. And if you're gonna debate a movie or whatever, I feel like the rule is you can't get that heated. If you start getting mad about arguing over things that don't actually exist, it's kind of crazy. Well, both of these guys were a little nerdy, so they start this Star Wars argument, and it quickly devolves from like a normal conversation about disagreements on movies and lore to them full-on screaming at each other. And it's about 9 p.m., which is well into quiet hours, and within like 2 minutes of them starting to scream at each other, they hear somebody underneath them with a broom like banging on the floor. And so the person who sent this to me is getting embarrassed because like the unit numbers are marked like per 4 people. So these guys are kind of representing the entire unit badly, and people are starting to go on like this group chat thing and be like, who is that? Why are they being so loud? What's going on? And because he's so embarrassed and just wants it to end, and he feels bad for everyone that's trying to study, the person who sent this to me goes and bangs on the wall and is like, can you guys please keep it down? Like, stop it. And that shifts from being mad at Star Wars to them just yelling about how their roommates suck and their roommates never let them have any fun and they should just mind their business. And now the subscriber's getting pissed off. They're like, you guys are gonna make our entire apartment look bad, and then when I tell you to shut up, you're gonna start talking crap. So he goes up to their door and knocks on the door, and immediately it goes dead silent. You would think for people that were talking so much crap about the guy who just told them to be quiet and saying how much their roommates sucked, that they would be very excited to open the door and say something to his face. But no, it was like the reality of having to say something like that to somebody made them both very, very shy. So he starts saying through the door, like, if you guys have an issue, come on, like, let's talk about it, let's settle it. And nope, they didn't come out, they just ignored him, and eventually he goes back to his room, studies, and goes to bed. The next morning he wakes up, and obviously they had lived together for a while at that point, so he knew everybody's schedule. He knew that they didn't have classes for a bit, so he like faked leaving. I know that sounds nuts, but he basically said, all right, I'm out, went to the door, opened it, closed it, and then like tiptoed back and sat down. And as soon as they thought he was gone, they come out, and they see him on the couch, and they like turn white as a ghost. When someone is just exuding fear, you can almost smell the fear on them. You know, if you were a vampire, you'd be like, I can smell your fear. They look scared. And he starts saying, like, guys, what's up? Like, you were talking so much crap last night. What was up with that? And these absolute masterminds must have realized that if they wanted to talk crap like that in real life, they might have to back it up, because they had a talk last night and decided to mutually just say that they didn't remember it and didn't know what he was talking about. Which has got to be one of the funniest ways people try to get out of stuff, is just being like, no, I don't know, that didn't happen. And so he looks at him and he's like, so you guys didn't yell at me through the wall last night that you could beat me up and I sucked and I never let you guys have any fun? And they were like, no, absolutely not. We would never do that. Yeah, it must have been the people underneath us. And he's like, oh, if it was the people underneath us, then we better go talk to them. Because, you know, we wouldn't want anyone underneath us to cause problems for our apartment. And they get even more shy, and they're like, oh, no, we don't have to do that. We don't have to. And the subscriber is like, guys, come on. If they were causing us to have this fight and pretending to be you and impersonating you, we gotta settle this. We can't let this stand. This is gonna cause issues. And they were like, yeah, fine, we'll go. And he's like, all right, I'll come with you. Let's go down there. And they said, no, we're sure you're busy. We're sure you're busy. You don't have to come along. Don't sweat it. And at that point, he had clearly embarrassed them enough, so he said, all right, well, you guys go handle it. And he made them leave the apartment, and they couldn't really come back until he had class later. So he doesn't know where they went, but they definitely just pretended that they confronted him and they apologized. But for a few hours, they had to go hide out of the apartment. Overall, I think if you're going to talk crap, you just got to back it up. That's the rule. Like, if you don't want to have to back up talking crap, then don't scream that you could beat up your roommate through the wall and then not be able to beat up your roommate. You could avoid all of this by just not threatening people. It's a very easy solution to all these issues. All right, guys, I promise there's more stories, but I got to get the likes up here on the channel. It's starting to take me out of recommended, so I got to do what I got to do. If you are enjoying these, please hit the like button. It helps the video do better. I'd appreciate it, and I'll shut up and get back to the video now. Okay, this next one's just really stupid. So this person lives in a smaller town, and there's like 2 neighborhoods, and both of them happen to have a very active next door community, which is like, I don't know. Think about Twitter, but only for stuff in your neighborhood, but also a lot of boomers that just complain about a lot of stuff. Like, that's kind of the vibe if Karen made a Twitter, but just mostly Karens. Either way, though, this person just kept an eye on it. One, because sometimes it was useful, like if there was actually something going on in the neighborhood they needed to be aware of, but also mainly because it was entertaining. And one day they're checking it and they're like, oh, okay, this is what my neighborhood is slowly becoming, because the latest post that had a ton of traction, a ton of comments, a bunch of people talking about it, was a guy who had come outside to start his car and go to work and had found it smashed. The windshield had been destroyed. There was a big dent in the hood. It's pretty messed up. If you didn't know any better, then you would think somebody like took a sledgehammer to this thing and just went crazy. But the person in their description of the picture starts explaining, and in the picture itself, that somebody had taken a bunch of cantaloupes and just like pelted his car angrily. And I didn't realize cantaloupes could do that much damage, you know? Now I realize why Fruit Ninja was so angry. Those things could mess you up. I bet you as a child he lost his mother to a falling watermelon, and ever since he was trying to avenge them. Either way, somebody in the neighborhood had gotten pissed off at this guy, decided that they were going to destroy his car, but couldn't do it normally, wanted to use cantaloupes. Maybe because they thought it would be impossible to trace them back. And so they start laughing at this post, and then they realize there's a bunch of comments. So they go down to the comments, and the person, the mastermind, the evil genius behind the cantaloupe posting, hadn't been known at first. A bunch of people were guessing, asking if he had beef with anyone. He was like, no, not really. But the absolute genius responsible decided to expose himself, and I don't really understand why this happens so much on social media nowadays. Between rap music and like people's ability to post on Instagram and Twitter, people snitch on themselves. The guy, this old man, by the way, we're talking like a male Karen, probably wearing some Oakleys and an Under Armour shirt, cargo shorts, the whole shebang. In the comments started saying that he was the guy who had done it because he like had read somehow that it's more disrespectful to destroy someone's belongings with food. I don't know where he was reading that. If anyone knows, let me know, because it sounds insanely stupid, especially because destroying someone's car just is a felony. I'm pretty sure across the board, it's like a certain amount of damage done to someone's stuff, but shattering a windshield, breaking all of the stuff, denting the hood, whether it's with melons or a hammer, it still makes it illegal. But this absolute genius had decided to hop right on Nextdoor and just admit it, saying that he was mad at the guy because he wasn't mowing his lawn enough. Oh yeah, that makes total sense, bro. Someone's lawn's a little bit too long, grass getting a little bit unruly. Just start destroying their possessions. That'll make them definitely focused on that. If my lawn was a little bit long and someone started attacking my house, I guarantee you I would be a lot more focused on making sure my house was safe versus the agriculture out front. Obviously, a bunch of other people in the comments had told him that he was nuts for that and also pointed out that what he had done was illegal, so he had deleted his comment. Thankfully, a bunch of people had screenshotted it, so they start posting his comments in the comments. The guy who had originally posted about his car being stolen was like, oh yeah, I guess that guy does hate me because I didn't cut my grass enough, so what do I do now? Should I call the cops? Another guy who lives in the neighborhood who was a cop ends up going over there. The guy gets arrested. He does get released, like he ends up on like probation where you have to check in with the guy and whatnot. Gets a huge fine, has to pay for everything. And most importantly, is a huge laughing stock. Like to this day on the Nextdoor chat, people just are posting like memes about cantaloupes and broken cars. And you'd think he'd be ashamed and just delete his account, but no, he's like so boomer, he just still wants to argue with them, so every time they make a meme about it, he's like, this is not funny, it was a very hard time for me and my family. Yeah, no one's denying that, bro, you got arrested, and I'm sure when you were trying to explain it to people and you said, I got really mad at a guy and destroyed his car with a cantaloupe, why would you do that, was one of the questions they asked, followed by, yeah, you're kind of a moron. I don't know. Overall, just don't commit crime, especially on your neighbors. And if you are going to commit crime on your neighbors, which you should not do, don't go admit it on social media, especially to the person. Yeah, it was so sick when I stole that guy's car. Like, you just text it to the person whose car you stole. Don't steal cars, but really don't do that. You're just being a moron. All over some grass, bro. What is up with, like, old men and being obsessed with grass? I don't get it, dude. You would think that their life literally depended on the state of their grass. You don't understand, Deborah. If I don't have the best lawn in the neighborhood, I lose my manhood. So the next story is semi-lawn related, but has nothing to do with the last neighborhood that we talked about. This guy who sent this to me has his own business where he like cuts people's grass. He has a bunch of lawns that he does, neighborhoods that he does, and he got hired by this guy to cut his grass once every 2 weeks. Pretty standard, most people do like once a month, once every 2 weeks, so he's over there and has no issue, and he's been doing it for a few months, and one day he's over there mowing the grass. And because he worked alone, he had these like headphones that drowned out the sound of the lawnmower because it's really loud and he could listen to podcasts. But he's mowing, minding his business, and he looks up and he sees a guy that's not the homeowner, but he had seen around the neighborhood a few times, like frantically waving, looking like he's having some huge type of emergency. So he turns off the mower, takes off his headphones, and is like, is everything okay? What's wrong? And the guy says, nothing's wrong, I just need to talk to you. Okay, nothing's wrong. It's such an emergency that you're acting like it's an emergency and you have to interrupt me doing my job. So he says, all right, what is it? And the guy's like, who gave you permission to mow this lawn? And he's a little bit confused because he had talked to the owner of this house quite a few times and it's not this guy. So he doesn't know, A, why this guy cares who gave him permission because it's not his house, and B, why he's asking because he's not the owner of the house. Like, why do you care and why do you even have a right to know? So he tells him, oh, the owner hired me to cut the grass. I do it. It's like a service, you know? thinking maybe he like misunderstood the guy's question and he's trying to hire him as well. And he says, well, I live next door. Okay, cool, good for you. And I don't like this sound. All right, well, I don't really know what to do about it. Well, maybe just turn down the sound on the lawnmower. What are you talking about, bro? Turn down the sound on the lawnmower? That's not how it works. It's making noise because that's how loud the engine is to operate it. It's not a speaker in there. You think they would have the speaker that loud on the lawnmower? And it's also like 11 a.m. on a Wednesday. It's not like it's early in the morning on a weekend. It's not like it's late at night. It's a perfect time to make noise. So he kind of tells the guy like, yeah, I can't do that. I'm just going to finish and then I'll be done. Well, when I mow my lawn, it's not that loud. And he's kind of confused. And he's like, well, do you use a push mower? No, I use one that looks like that. Well, then it's probably just as loud. And he's like, yeah, well, other people aren't working when I mow my lawn. And the guy says, look, guy, I'm sorry if you work from home, but you interrupting me is going to make me take a lot longer to cut this. Whereas if you would have left me alone, I probably would have been done by now. Like, I would have been out of your hair. You could have been on your conference call with no background noise, but you came over here to have this argument. I don't need your permission to cut this lawn. Well, I'm the neighbor, so you need to get my permission too. And he's looking at the guy like, no, I don't, man. That's not how it works. So he asked the guy a hypothetical question. So do you have to get this guy's permission to do anything at your house? And he's like, no, of course not. Okay, so then why would I need to get your permission to cut his lawn? And the guy says, because I'm the neighbor, as if it's making any sense. It's almost like he was so dumb that he was realizing it was illogical, but his brain couldn't put the two pieces together, so he just kept doubling down. And eventually the lawn guy realizes that the argument is fruitless. This guy is literally going to sit here and argue with him till the end of time. So he does what anyone would do in that situation, puts his headphones back on, tells the guy to back up. He does. He starts the lawnmower and keeps mowing. And so now he can't even hear the guy. He has his headphones on, he's listening to a podcast, there's the sound of the lawnmower over the top. But the guy, for the next 20 minutes he's mowing the lawn, is just standing there screaming into the air. Literally talking to himself because this guy can't hear him at all. And every time he looks up and the guy is waving at him, he looks at him and says, I can't hear you. But he doesn't leave. He just keeps saying stuff to the void, thinking that someone can hear him. And so finally he finishes, he rolls over to his trailer, he drives the lawnmower up onto the back, takes his headphones off finally, and he hears the guy's still going. So he looks at him and just asks him, dude, you're still going? And the neighbor looks all pissed off and says, yes, haven't you been listening this entire time? And the guy mowing the lawn literally starts laughing at him and is like, no, I haven't been for a very long time. I haven't heard any of this. And the neighbor is embarrassed but starts trying to flip it and says that he was just trying to waste his time and that was very rude of him and he's going to report him for being unprofessional to his boss. Keep in mind, he's talking to the owner of the company. So he just handed him a card and said, you're more than welcome to call my boss whenever you see fit. You have a good day, sir. And left. But I love how in that guy's mind, that was a great use of his day. You were on a call. You needed to get rid of the background noise. You went out there to yell at him and then spent 30 minutes screaming at a guy who wasn't listening while the entire neighborhood was just watching you just go ballistic on a lawnmower. The fact that he couldn't hear him at all and he took off his headphones and he asked him if he had been listening at all, that just adds insult to injury. He thought he was giving some huge motivational speech, bro. Really thought he was a basketball coach from a Disney movie at halftime getting people hyped up. Nah, you were just talking to yourself with extra steps. Alright, this one's funny, but it requires a little bit of backstory. The person that sent this in to me doesn't have a normal Saturday, Sunday weekend. They have Wednesday, Thursday off, and they work 100% online from home. So they can kind of wear whatever they want. They're always in sweats and whatnot. But that's the benefit of the job. If you don't have to dress up for work, I don't know why you would. Could you imagine, you work from home, you never have to Zoom? There is no dress code. You just put a suit on at 7 a.m. because you like it. I would think you're a little bit of a psychopath. He lives in an apartment building, though, and he goes to the gym in the apartment building to get his workout on every day because he keeps it consistent. Good for you. I wish I had that type of follow-through. I can only upload every day, not work out. Anyways, he's at the gym and there's this old man on the treadmill who keeps giving him dirty looks. And he's not sure why. He had seen the guy around before but never interacted with them. So finally, after he's been staring for a while, he just smiles at him and says, "How's your day?" And the old man, clearly already grumpy, just kinda goes back and says, "Why aren't you at work? You're too young to be retired." Which, wouldn't you look stupid if the guy said, "Yeah, I made a company and sold it for $20 billion when I was younger. I am retired." And even if he's not retired, it's none of your business. So he kinda tries to reply nicely and says, "Oh, I work from home and this is my day off." "Why are you lying? It can't be your day off. It's a weekday." "Yeah, well, my company kind of lets us pick our days off, and I picked these 2 days because I like it better that way, because I like to have my days off during the week when everyone else is working, so stuff's a lot less busy." "That's dumb. No boss would ever do that. You're lying. You're unemployed. I bet you don't even live in this apartment complex." And he starts saying to him, "No, I work from home. I work from home. So, it's nice. I don't really care what my days off are because I work from here all the time." And now that he's added the work from home element, this old guy is even more confused. You would think after the last 2 years, Grandpa would have heard of working from home and Zoom, considering everyone and their mom has at least had to interact with it a little bit. But he was acting like someone from the medieval times that had been brought to modern times and given an iPad. Just, what? Anyways, the guy starts laughing because he just can't believe that this old man doesn't understand working from home or that people don't always have Saturday and Sunday off. And as soon as he starts laughing, the old man is like, "See, I knew you were lying. If you weren't lying, you wouldn't be laughing right now." And now he's getting annoyed, so his nicety is wearing off. He's not going to try to respect this old guy anymore because he's just being rude. So he says, "Yeah, I'm laughing at how dumb you are." And the old man is like, "Well, you're never going to get a job if you have that attitude towards your elders. Why would anyone hire someone with that attitude?" And he's like, "Man, I don't know. I don't have a job, remember? How would I know how to get hired?" And the old man is like, "I don't understand how you afford to live in this apartment complex, but I'm telling you, when mom and dad's money runs out or something and you have to move out, it's going to be such a good day for me. You kids today don't want to work hard. You just want to sit back and relax all the time, and that's not the way the world works." Which, obviously is not the way the world works, but saying you want someone to get evicted and kicked out seems a little unfair. And even then, he does have a job. Just because you can't understand someone's job doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right? Imagine someone just saying that a garbage man doesn't have a job because they don't believe that's a job. That's kind of what's going on right now. Just because you can't comprehend it doesn't mean it exists. So he's like, yeah, okay, whatever. I live here. You have to deal with it. And the old man says that he feels uncomfortable working out in the presence of someone so uncivilized and leaves the gym. And so the subscriber who sent this to me finished his workout. But when he leaves, he sees the old guy is in the office where the property managers are. And he walks out and he sees him point at him. And he clearly had gone in there to try to report that there was a strange man in the gym. And the property manager waved at him because they knew each other and he waved back. And the old man's face just contorted as if he sniffed the smelliest fart of all time. But that was the end of that. I don't know. I feel like these old people, they get to retirement and they don't want to enjoy it, man. My grandma was dope, dude. She lived a long time, and the entire time she was vibing. She didn't really let stuff get to her. If she did, she was funny about it. Just relax, man. Just relax. Life is not that deep all the time. I promise. People can have days off other than Saturday and Sunday, Grandpa. And this last one is short. This actually happened to not my friend, but a friend of my friend. He just bought this old farmhouse, right? And he's been renovating it, and it was the first time that he was staying there. And he had just bought some new locks and locked up this weird entrance to the basement on the left-hand side of the house. And at around 3 a.m., he thought he heard some rattling, but whatever. It didn't really wake him up. It was just something he heard of. So the next morning, he goes to look, and it does kind of look like the door's been messed with a little bit. So he takes the lock off and he opens it. And the basement is disconnected from the house. You can't get into it other from this entrance on the side of the house. And so he goes down the stairs and he realizes what he was probably hearing is whoever had been living in the basement, because there's clearly a little bit of a squatter set up down there. So someone had been living in the basement of this old farmhouse, probably didn't realize that someone had bought it. and had come last night to collect their stuff or come inside only to find it locked. So he set up some cameras and left it unlocked the next night, and sure enough, a guy had gone in, got a bunch of stuff and left, but now he's super paranoid because he's just worried that the guy's gonna come back. What if he feels like it's his house? And I was telling my friend that, you gotta tell him to move, bro. This is 100% straight out of a horror movie. If he stays there, it's gonna be cursed. He's gonna come back, steal his identity. I can't say that for sure. I just feel like if you find out someone's been secretly living in the basement of a house you just bought and they leave after you, you're always gonna be worried about them coming back, dude. I'm shocked the previous owners didn't know. It must have not been lived in for a while. But that's my absolute worst nightmare. Buying a house, finding out someone's been secretly living in the attic. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to press the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments section down below. I've really been grinding to get these long videos done, so please like and comment and subscribe if you're new. Turn on those notifications. If you really like these, you want to listen to the audio version, I do post it over on Spotify. Feel free to go check it out. Link down below, along with the link to the intro song. And if you really, really want to help me out, I do make a podcast on my third channel, Scrubby, where I just react to weird news and whatnot. So you can go check that out if you want. But yeah, on that note, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace. I've never understood why Karens decide to take their hatred for their lives out on everyone else. It's not our fault that your life sucks, okay? You don't need to make everyone's life miserable. But today's story time I have is a Karen that insisted on trying to teach someone a lesson only for it to backfire in her face and end up with her in the back of a cop car. Thought it would be a story time you guys would enjoy, so without further ado, let's get into it.
Nice rack and her ass Brazilian. Just turned 21, but my bank's a million.
Alright, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. Here's yesterday's comment of the day. This guy actually gave money with this comment. I didn't even know you could pay to comment, but thanks for the $5. I'll spend it wisely, and by wisely, I mean useless digital items and video games I won't play in a year. But today's story time is going to be about a Karen that was sent in to me by this dude named Eric. And Eric was a pretty chill guy. He didn't love his job, but it was his job. He happened to work at a gas station as the dude inside who gets you your drinks, puts money on your pump, whatever it may be. And it wasn't, anything glamorous. It's not like you would want a camera crew to be following him around, but he liked it, and the one benefit was that he got to interact with a bunch of crazy people. A gas station seems like it would be one of the best places to interact with some interesting characters, to say the least. Probably feel like you're bumping into a GTA NPC 3 times a shift. Some guy comes in with a parrot on his shoulder, not a real one, a stuffed parrot, and talks to it and makes it talk back to him, whatever it may be. He just had some pretty crazy customers. For example, there was one guy that would come in with this stuffed animal dog that was on a leash, and he would make it look like it was walking. And it was 100% a stuffed animal. He's not an idiot. You're able to tell apart a stuffed animal from a real animal. But this guy would come into this gas station all the time, get the exact same drink and chips combination, and walk this stuffed animal dog. And at first he thought maybe it was a conversation starter, the guy is lonely or whatever, just wants an excuse to talk to people. So one day when he came in after he had known him for a couple weeks, he decided to ask him, hey, why are you deciding to walk around that stuffed animal? And when he asked the guy why he was walking around that stuffed animal, dude, the guy's face contorted as if he just smelled the rankest fart of all time. Walked into the bathroom after somebody had food poisoning levels of disgust, and got angry saying, what are you talking about? It's not a fake dog, it's real. And he looks down at this dog, and it's just very obviously fake, but the guy is getting increasingly angry, almost shaking with anger over him daring to question the reality of the dog. So he just kind of let it go, and ever since he's paid some more attention, and the guy treats the dog like it's a real dog. 100% not, but those are the type of people that he was interacting with at this gas station. And what's wild is that's the second craziest person he interacted with in the story time. Whatever, most days in the middle of the week it would be pretty slow. There was a huge rush of people on the way to work getting gas and after work getting gas. But for most of the time in the middle of the week at like 11 a.m., there's not a whole lot going on. Some people would come in, but for the most part it would be dead, so they would do stuff around the store. But he's standing there at the counter because he had done everything he had to do, and this woman comes in, and he's not trying to like pay attention, but he can't help but pay attention because the way she's acting is super weird. She kept like looking at him, staring at him, and whenever he would look over, she would look away really fast, and like she wouldn't move or do anything when he was looking at her. Seriously, to the point that if he looked over, she pulled like someone trying to avoid a Jurassic Park dinosaur velociraptor thing. Its sight is based on movement, don't move. She would just freeze. But whatever, he kind of just stops looking at her directly and is watching her out of the corner of his eye because it's the only person in the store, and the fact that she was being weird made him more suspicious. If she would have just come in and said hey and grabbed a drink, then like he wouldn't even have thought about it anymore. But her trying to not be noticed made him want to notice what she was doing more. And he watches her go over and fill 4 like freeze cups up to the brim with cherry freezes. And he's a little bit confused on why she needs 4 of them. And these are huge cups. These aren't little ones. He looks out, doesn't even see a car out there, realizes she must have walked up, so he doesn't know why she needs 4 of these things unless she's trying to give herself the world's biggest brain freeze. You know, my mom said I'd never amount to anything, so I'm gonna get the world's biggest brain freeze and end up in the Guinness Book of World Records, but he didn't really think that was going on. But at the same time, he didn't really care. Sure, it was bizarre, but as long as they bought stuff, it didn't matter to him whatever floats your boat. He's not going to tell you to not spend money. Hey, you, over there, I don't know what you're spending your money on, so get out of my store. You can't spend it in here. Like, that would just make no sense. But she comes up to the counter and he starts trying to create some small talk, as you do as the cashier. Like, it's just kind of forced. Hey, how's your day? Do you need anything else? That type of stuff. The cashier doesn't actually want to be having this deep conversation with you or even conversing at all. They just have to. And she snaps back at him when he asks how her day was going and is like, I'm buying 4 freezes. How do you think my day is going? And I'm going to be honest, I'm not really sure how you would even reply to that. And Eric didn't know what to say either, so he just kind of looks at her and doesn't know what to say. Is it going good? Like, it could be going one or the other. Either you're buying 4 ginormous freezes because you're having a party or you're in a great mood, or you're trying to cope with something. I don't know. That's not my job. I was just asking how your day was because you're a customer trying to buy stuff. This is the type of person that you read about in a math problem later. It's like, Janet bought 37 ices. It's like, why did she do that? We don't know, but Janet loves diabetes. I just don't really understand why you would need all these, but the total comes out to like $15, and he's not trying to create any more small talk after she kind of dumpsters him trying to do it the first time. The total comes out to $15, and she puts her card in the machine, and it goes, and it goes, and it goes, and it beeps, but it doesn't do like the approval beep, it does the beep of declining. And Eric literally did not care. He got paid by the hour. If the card got declined and you needed to try again, you needed to try again. It was a really old chip machine. It's not like he expected it to work all the time. Sometimes it didn't work. So he just looks at her and says, oh, something must have messed up. Can you like swipe it again? Can you rescan it, put the chip back in? Not a weird comment, pretty standard. Well, she starts getting insanely defensive, being like, your machine is broken, I know I have money, it's not my fault that you don't have a machine that's able to read my card. And he's just taken aback on the aggression because he had just very calmly said, go ahead and do it again. So he kind of looks at her, confused, and says it again like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal, go ahead and just do it again and it should go through, no biggie. And she's very defensive about how she doesn't want to do it again. She knows that she has money. And he says, well, unless you scan your card, like there's no way for us to get the money. And I can't let you take all this stuff unless you pay for it. So I don't know. You have to try again. So she puts her card in and it takes like the longest 30 seconds of all time. You know when a situation is just mad awkward, so time just starts feeling like it's going on forever? That's what's happening, and the card's just reading. And sure enough, it declines again, and he just kind of looks at her and doesn't say anything, because everything that he has been saying has apparently been wrong, so he was just going to keep his mouth shut. And she looks at him and says, what now? And he's like, well, do you have another card? Do you have cash or something? And she says, well, I have no other way to pay. And he's like, well, then I don't know what to tell you. And she starts trying to guilt trip him. Well, I think you should just give it to me. It's not that big of a deal. It's $15. And he had worked with people before if they were maybe $1 or $2 short, 1 or 2 cents short. Sure, whatever, no big deal. But when somebody comes up to you and expects it, it's just completely different. Like, oh, give me this $15 worth of stuff for free. And it's not like they really needed it. No one needs 4 giant freezes. So he just says, like, I can't do that. And instead of being reasonable and just thinking to herself, dang, well, that's my fault. I couldn't pay for it. She does the exact opposite and starts screaming at this poor Eric guy, saying that he's a moron and it's his company's fault that they don't have a card reader that can read cards because she knows that she has money. And if he would just give it to her, it would help her day out, but he's not going to give it to her, and that's why he's a selfish, bad employee. I don't think he's a selfish employee to not be giving out things for free. It's just not his store, dude. Like, what would you like him to say to his boss if his boss comes back and says, hey, why'd you give away all this stuff for free? Well, she said I was being a jerk because I didn't give it away for free, so I had to. Yeah, that store's not going to be in business for long. I promise you everyone in the neighborhood's going to be running in telling the guy that they don't have money for it, and if he doesn't give it to them, then he's mean. That's just not a good way to stay in business. It's not his fault that you can't pay for it. He can't just go away giving away free stuff. So he kind of says that much, being like, look, ma'am, it's not my fault that your card didn't read, but you're putting me in an awkward position when you ask me to put my job on the line for a stranger that I don't know. Pretty logical, pretty reasonable, and instead of replying to it with anything near that, she just starts threatening him, saying that if he doesn't give it to her, then he's going to regret it and she's going to make sure that he suffers. Way too intense for just some stupid frozen sweet water, you know? They just put some flavoring on ice. It's not like it's really that deep. You're gonna regret this. I'm gonna make you pay. Over a sugar drink, dude? Over a sugar drink? I didn't even know people could be this addicted to sugar. She's acting like she's on meth withdrawals and someone's withholding it from her. If you don't give me these, I will make you suffer. Like, what in the Marvel cartoon evil villain is going on? And he doesn't back down. If anything, it pisses him off even more that she's gonna sit here and try to threaten him, force him to back down and give her this stuff for free. So he just says, no, you can't have it for free. I don't know what to tell you. And she lifts up 2 of the ices and puts them above her head and says, I'm gonna throw them. And he's like, don't throw it, come on. Even if you throw them, I'm definitely not gonna give it to you for free. And her response to that is to throw 2 of them on the ground. And it was almost like gallon smashing. You know that stupid trend way back in the day where people would go into grocery stores and throw gallons of milk on the ground? That's kind of the vibe. They just splat everywhere, they make a mess. And the worker's just thinking, Eric is like, I have to clean this all up. This sucks absolute butthole. I don't want to clean this up. So he says that she needs to get out. That's too far. She picks up the other 2 in response to him saying, get out, and says that she's not going to leave. All right, well, you have to leave. You can either leave or I'm going to, call someone to make you leave. And she throws the other 2 on the ground. And Eric really didn't want to have to call the cops. He didn't want to have to call everyone, but she doubles down and says that she's not going anywhere. She literally won't leave. And so he has no choice but to start dialing 911, and he's doing it all dramatically to try to get her to run away and leave. All right, I'm calling them. I'm gonna call them. And she's just not leaving. I'll keep it short and sweet. There's a gift card code on your screen right now. I give one of these away every single day and I upload every day. So if you're new, you should subscribe, turn on those notifications. I really appreciate it. And while I got you, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam. You'll be cursed by a 900-year-old witch and she will take all the bologna from your fridge. Eric calls the cops, lets them know what's going on, and they're not in a rush. They're like, is she stealing anything? And he says, no, but she says she's gonna wait. I told her to leave. And they're like, well, we could basically only get her for trespassing. He says, yeah, I know, but she's not gonna leave. So they said they were gonna send someone over, and he literally, on the phone in front of her, says, I hope she just leaves before you guys get here. He does not want this to turn into something. He wants this lady to just get out of here. It's not that big of a deal. But she is just standing there, arms folded, acting like she just has nowhere better to be. Which, listen, I don't know if she came in here trying to make trouble, but if you did, you succeeded. You created trouble. Now get out of there before you get in trouble for the trouble. The entire time they're waiting for the cop to get there, though, she's angry at him as if he's done something annoying. Oh yeah, he's the annoying one, not you. The lady that came into his work, started causing a bunch of problems, and then after he said, leave, I'm calling the cops, just refused to leave because the cops are gonna come here and magically be on your side. She just keeps blaming him for things too, like dumb things around the store. She's saying the way the products are set up is stupid and he's an idiot if he set it up like that. Believe it or not, he didn't set it up like that, so it's just bouncing off of him. But about halfway through just insulting him for the store, the way he handled things, she starts getting like upset about what had happened to her ices. In almost tears in her eyes, like grown woman on the verge of crying is screaming at him. And he's behind one of those plexiglass dividers, and as she's screaming at him, the spit is just hitting this divider, almost adding like a rain effect on a window. About how he ruined the ices and she just wanted to enjoy them, and he's so evil for that. Yeah, he's evil for not giving them to you for free. And then he's also evil for possessing your brain and making you throw them on the ground. No one told you you had to throw them on the ground and make a mess. That was your invention. How are you gonna blame the guy that had nothing to do with that? If you would have just let me have them for free, I wouldn't have thrown them on the ground. You made me throw them on the ground. It's your fault you're gonna have to clean it up. Whatever though, for about 15 minutes, she's just sitting there arguing with him, saying that he's an idiot, he's a loser, he's never gonna amount to anything. Even if he never amounted to anything more than he was in this moment, he would still be above you because you're the person screaming angrily at somebody that's apparently worth nothing. I don't think anyone's worth nothing, but if someone was worth nothing, I wouldn't even waste my time being mad at them. I wouldn't waste my time arguing because they would be worthless. So if you actually think this guy is worthless, it's weird you would spend so much time being upset at him. The police finally get there, though, and they walk in, and they see her in this puddle of icy. 4 very large ices have been on the ground now for 15 minutes. It was already a mess, but it's just become more of a mess, and the worker hasn't come out from behind the counter, because he has the little divider, but she's so angry she's spitting at him, so the last thing he wants to do is go around and try to fix it. It can wait until all of this is handled. But the cop walks in and takes a deep breath, almost like he's just too tired to be dealing with this. He's off in 20 minutes. This is the last thing he wants to be doing. And he asks her, ma'am, what happened? And you would think she'd be smart enough to deny it, at least for half a second. Oh, officer, I don't know. This is so crazy. But she doesn't. She starts bragging to him about how she had gotten mad at the cashier, and Eric had deserved to have this thrown on the ground. She would have thrown it at him, but he's behind that stupid plexiglass thing, and he's lucky that he's behind that because she would have hit him instead. And the cop is like, what are you talking about? You're telling me that you wish you could have attacked this cashier and you made a giant mess in the store because he wouldn't give you something for free? Well, no, I tried to pay for it, but my card declined and he wouldn't give it to me. And the cop is just super confused because, what do you want him to do about it? You called the cops and waited here hoping that they would show up and tell him he had to give you the ices for free? And the guy at that point, Eric, looks at the cop and says, I don't know why her card declined. I told her to try again. And when it declined again and I said she couldn't take the stuff, she started freaking out. I didn't actually expect her to be here when you guys showed up. I thought it would be a situation where you came and I would have to just give you a statement. But she insisted on waiting. She said she wanted to meet you. And the cop kind of looks at her, confused at the situation, and just says, is that true, ma'am? No denial. Even after having it explained back to her from someone else's mouth, which definitely should have made her feel more ashamed and more dumb. Nope, no shame in her, just, yeah, whatever, I get it, it is true. And the cop says, well, you have to go and you can't come back. If you come back and they call the cops and let us know that you're here, you're going to be in trouble because at this point you've broken a lot of the laws that are in place to protect the employees. So you've got to go. And she starts trying to argue with the cop, saying that she's going to come back and she doesn't even have to go, but she will just to make his day easier. But she's 100% going to come back here and she's not worried about it because the cop won't be there. And the cop does not want to be there. That is very clear. He doesn't want to be there, but he has to deal with it. And so he's telling her, like, you're telling me that you're going to come back and keep harassing him. Is that true? And she says, yes, and there's nothing that you can do about it. And the cop looks at her, folds his arm, and says, I can arrest you for that, just leave. I can arrest you for trespassing right now, so can you please just leave? I don't want to have to do that. Don't give your permanent record something to have on it, just leave. But she's standing there all defiant. She's like got her phone out filming him and is saying that he can't arrest her for anything just because she's in here making a scene is nothing that she could be arrested for. And he cites the law back to her that makes it possible to arrest her for like causing a disturbance, disorderly conduct, harassment on the guy who works there, trespassing because they've told her to leave. And she still isn't getting it. And she quadruples down and is like, well, I'm not leaving, so you're going to have to make me leave. And one last time, this cop, being patient, is like, just leave. I don't want to have to arrest you over something this dumb. This is not something that you're going to make a huge point about. No one's got your back. No one's going to make a GoFundMe to get you out. Like, just leave. It's okay. This guy doesn't want to be involved either. And Eric is like, yes, just please leave. I just want to get back to my day. This is taking forever. And she refuses again and kind of gets up close to both of them. And at that point, the cop grabs her arm and just goes to like escort her outside. He's not trying to slam her on the floor, WWE style. And she starts screaming bloody murder. Why? I just wanted to get my ices. He wouldn't let me. This is so unfair. I can't believe that in America you don't have the right to an icy. The right to an icy? That's a new one, bro. I've heard a lot of people say that, like, I don't need a driver's license, I'm just traveling. I've heard some dumb stuff. I've never heard anyone say that, like, you should have a right to sugary drinks. I didn't know that was something we needed to work into the 2.0 Constitution. Eric at that point literally goes to the back freezer and just stays in there for a bit for like 5 minutes. When he comes back, she's gone in the back of the cop car. He can't see a whole lot, but he sees that she's freaking out, like just not being very happy back there. And the cop asks him, okay, like, what's the whole story? There has to be more. And Eric is like, dude, there really is not more. I do not understand why she insisted on coming in here and doing all of this. I really told her to leave. I thought she was going to leave. It's like she just insisted on staying until he got there. And once the guy gets there, like, what do you want him to do about it? If he's seeing you throwing stuff at people, you're saying you're going to commit a crime and come back, just 100%. You're just gonna do it. Even if he leaves right now, you will come back. You leave him literally no choice. Like, there's not much he could do, especially when you start freaking out trying to attack him. But yeah, overall, just don't throw stuff on the ground, and if people tell you to leave, then just leave. Or throw stuff on the ground, and if you are gonna do it, just make sure they're subscribed to me first so they'll send it in. Like, if you're gonna do this, at least make sure that I get a video out of it, you know? Anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I would really appreciate y'all taking a second to press the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. And of course, subscribe if you're new and turn on those notifications. I post videos every single day, so if you like stuff like this, subscribe. If you're new, turn on those noties. And if you want to listen to the audio version of these story times, I do post the audio version over on Spotify. Feel free to check it out, link down below, along with a link to the intro song you can find down there as well. And last but not least, I do a podcast over on my third channel, Scrubby, where I like react to stuff and whatnot like I used to do on the Scrubby channel. So if you like that stuff and you want to watch more, Scrubby, like I said. But yeah, on that note, that'll do it, guys. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I will see each and every single one of you guys tomorrow. I'm out. Peace. Alright, so everyone's family's got like the one family member that's just a little bit of an embarrassment, and this guy's uncle was that, and he shows up at the family function one day saying that he's got himself a girlfriend. Not that people didn't believe him, they just were a little bit suspicious, and she was scamming him. They sent this in to me, said I could tell it on the channel, thought it would be nuts, thought you guys would find it crazy, so without further ado, let's go.
Nice racking her ass Brazilian. Just turned 21, but my bank's a million. Swear.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. Here's the comment of the day. This guy has actually managed to be first on like 5 videos. I don't know how he does it, but I literally recognized his name for the first comment, so thank you. Other than that, today's story time is going to be one that is definitely nuts. I wouldn't go out and say that, like, the situation is funny, but it is entertaining, if that makes sense. It's a lot like a bad couple on 90 Day Fiancé, where you're like, oh wow, you are both ruining your lives, but I can't stop looking. This guy's uncle had pretty much always been single, never really had any relationship, and it wasn't because he was like the worst guy ever, it was just never something he had gotten around to. So when he came around saying that he got a girlfriend, everybody was like, oh, okay, that's different, not what we expected, but good for you as long as you're happy. And for the first little bit, everything seemed fine. They didn't really know his girlfriend, he didn't love bringing her around, but he just kind of acted the same, but with a girlfriend. Then things started to get weird when his uncle started to get very distant from the family. He was always like there for every birthday, there for every event, very consistently there for the family. And all of a sudden, he started to get distant. And it wasn't just not coming to events. Sometimes people get busy. He and the person who sent this to me's dad would like go to lunch every week, and he just stopped showing up, didn't text him or anything about what was going on, just kind of stopped showing up. Just weird stuff like that. So, whatever. One day, he ends up bumping into his uncle at the store and is talking to him, and his uncle is like, yeah, I wish I could see you guys more, but I'm really busy working all the time to afford all of these fees. And he's confused on what fees he's talking about because he had never heard them mention them before. Like, these fees were something that was a new stress on his life, and he could tell it's really stressing him out. Just the way he was talking about it, it was like these fees were his arch nemesis. The fees were Perry the Platypus and he was Dr. Doofenshmirtz. So he asked him, like, what fees? Can you explain it? And I guess that this girl he was dating had managed to convince him that there was a weekly girlfriend fee. And this wasn't a situation where, like, you're gonna pay me to be your girlfriend. It was not like that. His uncle didn't think he had a sugar baby situation. No, she had like managed to convince him that the bank charged people that were in a relationship a fee, which was kind of like a tax for being in a relationship. Which is dumb, but I don't know, I guess for some people they don't think too much about what people say to them, especially if it's someone that they think they can trust. You've never been in a relationship before, you don't think anyone would take advantage of it, so you're like, whatever, they're probably telling the truth. Either way, he had been having a withdrawal of $500 a week from his bank account in order to cover this girlfriend fee. And it becomes very apparent to the guy that the girlfriend's just pocketing the money when he looks, and it's just like a withdrawal of cash from the ATM with his debit card, and he said it was an auto withdrawal, which meant she was just taking his debit card and taking it out. So, obviously, his uncle's getting scammed, but he has to go about telling him gently. He doesn't want him to freak out and be like, you guys can't be happy for me, just let me have my girlfriend. So he tries to nicely tell his uncle that, like, hey, I have a girlfriend and I don't have a $500 a week charge coming out of my bank account. That seems a little bit unusual. I'm not that sure about that. And instead of taking it to heart and maybe even thinking about it, his uncle just goes into denial. One of the stages of grief and is like, what are you talking about? You never want me to be happy. My girlfriend was right when she said that my family doesn't support me. Great. So not only is his uncle being distant, but his new girlfriend is charging him $500 a month as a girlfriend tax. Or a week, sorry, not even a month, that he doesn't know about, and convincing him that his family's against him when they try to say something about it. So whatever, his uncle's mad at him, so they go their separate ways, because he's like, I'm not trying to argue with you in the middle of the store, I'm not down, that doesn't sound that exciting to me. But that night, he starts getting threatening texts from a number he doesn't know, telling them that, like, they need to butt out of their uncle's relationship, and if they knew what was good for them, they would just let them be and stay out of their way. And it doesn't take some type of super genius detective to figure out who it was because, I don't know, I don't think his uncle would send him threatening texts, and who else really cared? I don't think anyone else really cares about anyone else's relationship enough to like send threatening anonymous texts. It had to have been his uncle's girlfriend. Obviously, his uncle had gone home from their interaction and told her, so he just kind of replies being like, I'm not trying to interrupt your relationship, I just don't feel good letting my uncle get robbed, you know? And she sends another threatening text saying that because of his behavior, his uncle was never gonna talk to them again. And as of right now, the end of this current update, he hasn't talked to him again. His uncle has really gone dark on him, bro. He really said it's not worth it. I'm gonna go get scammed. I gotta pay my taxes. If you guys want me to keep y'all updated on this, I told him to email me with another update, so comment down below if you want me to do a part 2 of this eventually. I've got some more stories today, but I just thought this was nuts that someone actually convinced a fully grown adult that there's a tax for being in a relationship. This next one is just really embarrassing. So this guy was at a party with his close group of friends, and they were a little bit older. Not like embarrassing older, you know, like 55 or whatever, but late 20s, early 30s, a little bit too old to be acting the way that this particular dude was acting. Everybody had become a little bit hydrated. If you're not an OG of the channel and don't know what that means, I don't know what to tell you. But because they were all hydrated, they weren't making the best choices. And one of the guys that no one was really super hyped to have in the friend group, but had always been a part of the friend group, so they just kept inviting him, started like acting more and more annoying as he got hydrated. And trying to show off, get people's attention, just, oh, look at me, like, guys, watch this, guys, watch this. He had a crush on one of the girls in the group that didn't like him back, and even though he was 30 years old, was still embarrassing himself like it was 2 days ago in the cafeteria or whatever. But he's trying ridiculously hard to get everyone to pay attention to him, and no one is working with him, no one's paying attention, no one really cares. So he starts trying even harder, which just gives me secondhand embarrassment. If you're trying to get everyone's attention and they're just not looking at you, it's probably because you're annoying, but whatever. He's literally waving his hands at them like, guys, look over here. Guys, look. Keep in mind, we're not talking about somebody that's insanely young. We're talking about a 30-year-old man jumping and waving his hands trying to get people's attention. Oh, bro, like imagine your dad. Guys, look, watch what I'm gonna do, watch. Like, oh my goodness, it just kind of makes you have some secondhand cringe. But no one's paying attention, so he just yells out that he's gonna do something really awesome and everybody should look. And then he goes silent. And it's not him yelling that he's going to do something awesome that got people to pay attention, but it was the fact that he had gone silent and wasn't trying to get their attention that made them look over. But as soon as they all look over and he sees that they look over, he goes for it. He just starts running, and he's gaining speed. He's not incredibly quick, but he is running, and everyone's really confused because there's really nothing over there. They were at one of their friends' houses, and the way that their backyard was set up is like half the backyard was this deck/fire pit thing, and then there was a fence, and then there was a garden. But he's very quickly approaching the fence, and so everyone expects him to slow down and do something. Like, there's no way he's just gonna run into the fence full speed, right? Well, he goes to, like, jump over it. And when he plants his foot to do, like, a hurdle jump, the only issue is his foot goes sliding. So he kind of goes forward, head first, into this fence after running full speed and breaks it. And he goes through the fence. And everybody that was watching this is just silent because they don't understand what happened, why he did that, what was going on. They literally looked over and this guy just started running towards the fence as fast as possible. But they're all very quickly snapped out of it when they hear like, oh, like pain groans, like he's hurt or something. And they run over there and he had gone head first but had put his arms through first. If that makes sense, almost like a dolphin dive from Call of Duty. Well, his wrist had taken a brunt of the impact, which did avoid it from hitting his head that hard, but his wrist had taken a bunch of the impact and it had broken. We're talking about bent the way it's not supposed to be bent. We're talking about like you can see bits of bone trying to poke through the skin. Not a very good situation. And everybody is just looking at it pretty grossed out because it's a gross sight. And he says, what happened? What happened? Like, tell me what happened. And so everyone delivers the news that your wrist is broken. Trust us, it's broken. It's bending away it's not supposed to bend. And he goes to look at it, and they stop him, and they're like, you don't want to look at it. And he starts trying to argue with them, saying, well, I know my wrist isn't broken. It's not broken. I know it's not. So they say, trust us, dude, it's broken. And he won't trust them. So reluctantly, they let him look at it. And sure enough, he starts freaking out. He's like, oh, my wrist is broken. My wrist is broken. And the host of the party had already called an ambulance, so it's on the way. But they come back over and they're kind of asking the guy, like, what were you trying to do? You know, like, my fence is destroyed and I don't even understand what the point was. You just ran full speed. And the guy is like, well, I was going to jump over it, but I didn't really practice it before, so I didn't know it was possible. And listen, if you're so unathletic that jumping over like a 2-foot tall fence is something that you need to practice for, maybe don't put it in your repertoire of things you do to impress people, you know? Like, if you are so unathletic that jumping over a 3-foot tall fence makes you so stressed you have no clue what to do, why would you try to do it after you had been hydrated to try to impress some people? And also, they're all adults. Did you think they would be like, oh man, whoa, did you see the way he jumped over that 3-foot tall fence? I might as well let him do my taxes. Like, I feel like it doesn't matter. If someone said, Ryan, watch, and jumped over a trash can, I would be like, wow, that certainly was cool. You jumped over a trash can. I wouldn't care. It wouldn't make me like them anymore. This guy seems stuck way, way back in the day. Like, not a good back in the day, you know? Way, way back in the day. Anyways, the ambulance comes. He gets taken to the hospital for a broken wrist. He, probably could have driven if somebody wanted to drive him, but he wasn't opposed. They had already called the ambulance, and everyone was hydrated, so no one could drive. Ambulance comes and gets him. For 2 days, no one really hears anything. And this friend group was relatively close, so, usually they would talk to each other, so the fact that it had been so quiet after that was weird. Then out of nowhere, the guy who broke his wrist texts the group chat saying that, he had been thinking about it quite a bit, and after talking to his family, he felt like it was the homeowner's fault. That's right, it's the guy who put the fence in the backyard's fault somehow, that he decided to sprint into the fence as fast as he could and dive into it. He said that if the guy would have made a more stable fence, then he wouldn't have been able to get through it so easily, and the odds of him being injured would have been a lot lower. And no one in the group chat is buying that whatsoever, all right? First of all, I feel like it probably would have hurt you more if it didn't break, then your head would have smashed into it too. And also, he probably wasn't expecting a fully grown human to be sprinting into his fence when he designed it. It was probably to keep small stuff out, just be a divider. I don't think when he was having it built did he tell the guy, yeah, I've always worried about people charging it as fast as they can and ramming into it. Make sure it can withstand that. And no one in the group chat agrees. Everyone's like, all right, you're being ridiculous. And he is so confident that it is not his fault somehow that any of this happens, that he leaves the group chat and literally has not talked to that group of friends since, saying that they didn't support him, and they just were happy that he got injured. No one was happy that you got injured. They just didn't want to blame the guy who built a fence because you got tipsy and decided to try to run into it. This next one was sent in to me by someone who had just gotten to college, and they expected to have this super awesome college experience where their roommates were great and they had fun all the time, and they were having fun all the time, but their roommates kind of sucked. This one roommate in particular had parents who didn't know how to tell him no. It was very evident to everyone because when they had all been moving in and they were kind of interacting with each other's parents and whatnot, he would literally bully them into doing things for him. He would just degrade his parents in front of people until they did what they wanted. And it was almost like he would do it to try to impress people, if people were around, he would go out of his way to embarrass his parents and make them do things and make them look stupid, very uncomfortable stuff, weird vibes. He would call them and demand money, just uncomfortable stuff. But whatever, he started doing it to impress people at college, and the person who sent this to me really didn't like it, but it really became one of his main personality traits was that he was willing to bully his parents. So of course everybody is kind of uncomfortable with this, but he couldn't read the room very well, and he would literally call his parents on speaker and start yelling at them to try to flex on people that he had his parents wrapped around his finger. Which is some nuts behavior. Imagine just meeting somebody. You don't really know them that well. You haven't spent a lot of time with them. And one of the first things that they do is call their parents and start screaming at them in front of you to show you how awesome it is to have control over your parents. I don't want to be your friend, man. If you're willing to call and scream at your parents just to flex to me, then who knows what you're going to try to do as my friend. I can't trust someone that's going to call his grandma and say she's a toothless hag to try to get a giggle out of the boys. There's a line. I'll do a lot to make my friends laugh, but I feel like attacking my family members is not there. One day, though, he had invited a bunch of people over to the dorm, and they had talked about wanting to go out and do something later, but this guy, being a loser, didn't really have any money, so they said they could figure something out to do instead. But he said, no, don't worry about it. I'll just call my parents and they're going to give me money. And that's what made him a loser. It's not having money. If you don't have money, who cares? But if you're I don't need to get a job because mommy and daddy will pay for everything, that's some loser behavior. But he calls his dad, and as soon as his dad answers, he's like, "What's up, bozo? You ready to give me some money?" And his dad doesn't take to it very well and says, "I'm not going to do this anymore." And his son is confused and says, "What do you mean you're not going to do this anymore? What are you talking about?" And his dad starts saying that he's very ungrateful, and every time he calls him, he treats him with disrespect, and it's always just wanting something. He never calls to check on his family. He never calls to ask about his siblings. It's just always for money. And his response to that is yeah, well, that's because I don't care about you or mom or how my siblings are doing. That's none of my business. I just need what I need. And everyone there is literally cringing because they can't believe he just said that. And his dad starts trying to give him some more advice, and he just replies to his dad by saying, "Shut up and give me more money. I'm not coming to you for advice. I come to you for money. If I wanted advice, I would go ask someone more intelligent than you," just going in on his dad. And it's very evident to everyone listening, which is very awkward that people are listening. Keep in mind, he's doing this all to flex on people, that his dad's not messing around. And his dad's like, "Well, I'm not going to give you money. You need to listen to me before we end this conversation." But he snaps back at his dad and is like, "No, you need to listen to me. I said give you money. You're not the type of person who can tell me no." Just nuts stuff to say to your parents. I feel A, anyone can tell you no. You don't have to like that they said it, but anyone can say it. And B, your parents should be the people that are telling you no the most often in your life. If anything, if you put it all together, including your childhood, who else has probably told you no more than your parents? It'd be hard for anyone to give them a run for your money considering they raised you, but whatever. He's going off on his dad saying, "Shut up, give me money," and his dad just hangs up, which stood out to the person who sent this to me because his dad usually just took it and then caved in, and everyone was kind of surprised he had hung up that had seen this before. A few of the new people literally got up and left after that because he had just made them uncomfortable, but he decides that he's going to try to call his dad back. So he calls his dad back, and his dad doesn't even let him talk this time and is like, "Listen, you're cut off. We're not giving you any money anymore. We're not paying for anything." And his son is like, "Well, what do you mean you're not going to pay for anything?" Almost flabbergasted his parents had the nerve to ever mutter the words no to him. And his dad starts going off about how they're not paying for his food, they're not paying for his car, they're not paying for his school. He's got to figure out a way to pay for all of it. And his jaw literally drops open. He had been insulting his parents to flex on people, and now they're saying he's cut off, and he starts arguing with them, being like, "You can't do that." And his dad says, "Yeah, actually, I can. You're very ungrateful for everything we do. You call me and insult me to impress your friends. Even if your friends are impressed by that, they're probably not very good friends. Like, imagine all your boys get together. Oh, call in to grade your family members. Like, that's probably not the type of people you want to be spending a bunch of time with, but whatever. You've been taking it too far, so yeah, figure out how to pay for it, because if I'm going to be doing all this work to pay for my kid's school, the least he's going to do is be respectful. And he once again starts screaming, "Oh, you can't do that. You have to take care of me. I'm your kid." So his dad says something that should be obvious to everybody. "You're an adult, pal. So there's actually nothing that I have to do for you. I don't have to do anything. I literally have done my job legally. If I don't want to ever talk to you again, I don't have to." Which is cold, but I think he had been more than patient after taking weeks of every time his kid calls him just being insulted and being told he's nothing more than a piggy bank and he's good for nothing. And the spoiled kid is just sitting there stammering, not even knowing what to say, and he keeps trying to reason with him, and his dad finally snaps one more time and is like, "I tried to tell you to listen. Literally, earlier this call, I said stop and listen to me before we end this conversation, and you wouldn't. And this was why. I was going to talk to you and say you're very close to being cut off, but you just didn't want to listen." And at that point, he stands up, takes his dad off speaker, and walks out of the room. I'm surprised he kept it on speaker that long. The second he said, "You're cut off," he probably should have taken it off speaker. But he was trying to be brave, maybe thought he would get a cool recovery moment. Nah, not the case, pal. Everyone just listened to the cutting off beefinito. And they can hear him through the door begging his dad not to cut him off because he's paying for all of his schooling and he doesn't know how he's going to pay for college. And they don't know what his dad is saying, but it was probably something along the lines of like, "You should have thought about that before you started insulting me." And for the next few days, he kept like calling his parents and trying to apologize and trying to get them to pay for it. But he had pushed him too far, and every time he did, he would just get shut down. And they were like, "No, you treated us really poorly. We're not going to keep paying for your school after all that." And he actually had to go get a job, which is not the worst thing in the world. Like, everyone has to get a job. At least most people do, unless your parents were going to pay for you forever. But his whole demeanor changed. He became a lot less like over the top, cocky, confident, mean to people. Snapped him back to reality. So at the bare minimum, his parents did bring him back down to earth. It was their fault that he was that high up in the clouds in the first place. But seriously, talk about fumbling a bag. Your parents agreed to pay for your entire college. That's a lot of money. Like, that's not a small favor that they're doing for you. And all you had to do was keep your mouth shut and not insult them, and you would get free schooling. And you just couldn't do it? Like, I feel like that's really not that difficult to do. Just shut up and finish school, dude. Your parents are paying for it. And also, why would you have to just go insult your parents to that point? I don't understand. I'm not saying everyone's got beautiful situations with your parents, but like, even if you don't like them, you could just not talk to them and keep getting your college paid for. You don't have to go out of your way to make sure that they dislike you and you get cut off. And why be mean to your parents? I don't know. Like, listen, have my parents done some stuff I don't like? 100%. But at the end of the day, they're my mom and dad. I'm not gonna like make them that miserable. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, you should press the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. If you don't know what to comment, please go ahead and comment scam down below. It would mean a lot. It helps the video do better. And if you don't press the like button, then no joke, no scam. Your kid's going to be as spoiled as the last dude we just talked about, and you don't want that. If you're new, you should subscribe and turn on those notifications because I post videos like this every day, and I've been on the grind. I've been pumping out the long videos. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but like, yeah, there's some short ones, but I've been trying to push them above 20, 22 minutes each time. So if you appreciate that, like and comment too. And if you want to listen to the audio version, I do post it on Spotify, link down below, along with a link to my intro song as well. And if you want even more of me, they do have a podcast. I do have a podcast over on my third channel, Scrubby. Feel free to check it out. But on that note, that'll do it. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace. All right, guys. Today I've got an insane story about a stepmom who was stealing her stepson's money because she thought that he owed it to her for taxes. I don't think she understands that she's not the IRS, all right? They're hiring, though, so go get a job. Anyways, she stole money out of his sock in the closet and freaked out on him when he got mad about it. I just knew it would be a good story time, so that's what we're gonna be doing today. Let's go.
Nice rack and her ass Brazilian. Just turned 21, but my bank's a million. Swear.
Alright, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. There's the comment of the day, and yeah, today's story time is pretty nutso. Thankfully, his dad at least stands up for him, but stepmom, one for the crazy book. Definitely going in the crazy book. Let's go. So the person who sent this into me turned 16 and was told that they had to save up and buy their own car. And I don't think that's a bad thing. If anything, I feel like you probably value your car a lot more when you have to work for it. I'm not trying to say you suck more than a Hoover vacuum if your parents got you a car, but I am saying that if you had to go and work the same amount of hours that car is worth, you would treat it a lot better. And that's just a fact. Anything that gets just given to you is not going to be as important to you. Either way, he was saving up a bunch of money for this car, working his minimum wage job, and was putting in like 40 hours a week, doing overtime whenever he could while going to school because he was still in high school. And he had a bank account originally that all this money was going into. And he had gone with his dad and his stepmom to set up the bank account, and they had been put as like the adults on the account. And I think when you're not 18, that kind of has to be the arrangement. But if your parents aren't absolutely psychotic, then your money would go in your bank account and they would just leave it alone. I feel like stealing from your kid is something parents really shouldn't do. But because she had access to the bank account, as soon as the money started getting deposited, she started taking little chunks out, saying that it was for taxes. I don't think she's the federal government or the state government. Those are the only places that I think really are allowed to tax you. If someone just walks up to you while you're walking the dog and starts screaming at you saying that you owe them $3 grand for taxes, you don't have to give them the money. It's not legally obligating. There's no binding there. There's no legal binding. That means you have to pay them. But she would take money and say the taxes were going to food, taking care of him, the power bill. And it would be one thing if this family was really struggling. Look, your money goes a long way to help the family, but it wasn't like that. 3 Mercedes in the garage, multiple vacations a year. They would go out of the country as a family. Not the type of situation where you need to be taking your 16-year-old's paycheck to pay for stuff. If anything, they were making him work for his car because they wanted him to have a work ethic because everything else around the house was pretty easy. And this really rubbed the guy the wrong way because she had never done this to any of his older siblings, his older step-siblings, which were her kids. She had only started doing this tax thing to him when he got a job, which is dramatically unfair. The tax thing would just be stupid in general because you're not the government, you're the parent. You can't just take their money. At least I think that's unfair, whatever. Someone out there in the comments right now is like, taxing your kids is actually great. No, all right, it's lame. If they're working a minimum wage job, you don't need to take more money than they're already gonna lose. But especially if you're only going to do it for this one, you might as well just put a note on it that says, I hate specifically you. And that's the way he took it. So he talked to his boss about it, who was pretty cool with him, and his boss came up with the idea of, there's nothing wrong with him taking it in cash if he changed his bank account, and in the meantime, until he got the new direct deposit information, they would have to give it to him in cash. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, if it took him forever to get that form turned in to do the direct deposit, well, then that would just suck. Wouldn't that just be so unfortunate? So he goes and unlinks his bank account on like the online work thing and starts taking his money in cash. And he starts taking the cash and starts hiding it because he doesn't want his stepmom to know about it. And wouldn't you know it, once the direct deposit stopped showing up in the bank account, the taxes just stopped being talked about. At least at first. It was almost like it magically wasn't an issue once there wasn't a steady stream of cash going into that account. So he kept that system for a while, like a couple months. Every week he would come home with this wad of cash in his pocket, run upstairs as fast as he can so no one could question him, shove it in this sock, put it in a boot in the back of the closet, and just had it that way, which is not the safest if there's a fire or anything. I wouldn't recommend doing this, but if your option is a bank account where someone's just taking the money for stupid reasons, or hiding cash in a sock in a boot in the back of your closet, you pick the boot in the back of your closet. Like, if your mom's gonna police your bank account and start taking money for whenever she wants to buy a new pair of shoes, it makes sense for you to just take it in cash and hide it. No one's gonna hold that against you. And finally, after a few months, his stepmom wanted to have a serious meeting with him one day, so he goes downstairs and she says, come sit at the kitchen table, so he does. And she starts really pressing him about how he still works, but he hasn't been bringing home any paychecks, or he hasn't been cashing any paychecks, so she didn't understand what was going on. And he tried to come up with this really crappy story, and it's only a crappy cover story because he was such a hard worker, of how he had managed to break this really piece and expensive blended together there, my bad. Expensive piece of equipment, and because he had broken it while he was working, the company was going to dock his pay until it was paid for. And his stepmom didn't buy it because she knew that everything he did very well, and there was no way he would have made a mistake like that. On one hand, massive compliment, like, oh, there's no way you would have screwed up, I don't believe you. And it's his enemy, she's stealing his money, she has no reason to compliment him here. But on the other hand, crap, because she now knows that somehow there's money coming into the house, and she also knows that you don't want to tell her how you're getting paid. So he tries to just be like, no, I broke something, but he can tell that she does not believe it. You know when someone is like, yeah, okay, but you can tell that they don't believe you, but they don't really want to press you about it anymore, but he had to go to work. And he wasn't thrilled, but she kind of let it go, and that made him extremely nervous. He had no choice but to go to work. It's not like he could miss a shift. His boss was cool by letting him kind of bend the rules to take his paycheck in cash. He didn't want to do his boss dirty and not show up to make sure his money didn't get stolen. And even if his stepmom was getting suspicious, he assumed his hiding spot was going to be good enough. I probably would too. Even if someone's going to go look through your room, you don't expect them to start dumping out each individual shoe. The ones at the back of the closet especially that are already very hard to get to. I don't know, I just wouldn't expect somebody to start with that. And it was only a little 4-hour shift, so it's not like she could totally tear apart the room and get it back together in time. And he made sure to tell her before he left, like, hey, this is gonna be a 4-hour shift, so I'll be back pretty soon. And she said, great, we can finish that conversation about what's going on with the payments you've been getting so we can go back to getting your taxes on track. And if you have a normal job like this, the taxes are automatically taken out of your paycheck. Like when he got his paycheck every week, there already was taxes withdrawn. She called this the stepmom tax. Like this was not her doing his taxes for him. She was not being helpful. This is literally just saying that, like, I'm gonna take some money to help pay for stuff that she did not do with any of the siblings. So he's at work, and the entire time he just has knots in his stomach, and he's not sure why he's so nervous because he assumed his hiding spot was safe, but he's just really nervous. And as soon as he can go home, he gets home, he runs in, and his stepmom is standing at the door and gives him this weird smile. She never stood at the door and waited to smile at him before, and says, hey, how was your day? And he says, great. Vroom, zooms by her. Don't you want dinner? No, I'm good, I already ate, bye. Gets up into his room, and everything seems fine. There's nothing out of place, there's nothing weird. And he turns around to go back downstairs because he was a little hungry. Maybe he was going to grab something. But he just has this feeling at the back of his mind. Check the boot, check the boot, check the boot. And he had never had that feeling before. But because the boot is where the money is, he decides to go check. And as he's opening the closet door, he's kind of chastising himself. Like, this is ridiculous, dude. Your room is fine. Literally nothing is out of place. There's no way that she got in here and stole money from the shoe. There would have to be a sign. She would have to be an absolute ninja to get in here, rip it apart, find it, get it back together so spotlessly just the way I left it. And I'm talking hoodies laid on the floor in the exact position, nothing moved out of the way, everything looked precise. But whatever, he ends up going and he pulls out the boot and he dumps it out and the sock comes out, but it looks a little bit less full. And so he empties the sock and the sock is just empty. He had been wrapping the money around this empty toilet paper tube, the cardboard tube, and that's the only thing in there. And he starts freaking out because he had been saving money for a few months now, and he's saving up for a car. And he was pretty close, so there was a few $1,000s worth of cash that had been wrapped around this paper towel tube or toilet paper tube in the sock. that is now missing. He and his mom, or stepmom, had this weird confrontation about where all his money was. He goes to work, comes back, and it's gone. And he had played nice. He hadn't really complained to his dad about it too much. He had mentioned it a few times. But the fact that she had gone into his room and taken the money, and then put everything back to try to trick him, like she was playing mind games with him, and that really sets him off. So he decides he's gonna go downstairs and confront her. And he usually tried to avoid confronting her in front of his dad, but he goes downstairs and she's sitting next to his dad on the couch. And he's so pissed off about like all the hard work that had just gone down the drain that she had just stolen that it doesn't matter. He's letting her have a piece of his mind regardless. And listen, man, like think about how many hours that is. A few $1,000s might not sound like a ton of money to some people. It's a lot of money to me, but think about how much that is working minimum wage, how many hours that is. We're talking like 40-hour weeks for multiple weeks. It's not something that you're just gonna let go of easily. So he walks up to his stepmom and says, "Where's my money? Where is it? Like, what did you do with it?" And his stepmom starts trying to play dumb. What are you talking about? What money? I don't know. I thought you said that your work was keeping your money because you broke that piece of equipment. And his dad is looking back and forth to them like a ping pong ball, like bump, 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 like getting hit back and forth, but not actually being hit. And he's pretty pissed off because she's playing dumb. And so he says, "Look, I started taking my paychecks in cash because you were taking money out of them and I didn't like that. And I was keeping the money in my sock. It was there before I went to work. You gave me this weird talk about where my money was. I come back and all of it's gone. So something's going on and clearly you know what happened to it." "Well, it wasn't me. I have no idea what you're talking about. I would never take your money. You think that I would break that bond between stepmom and stepkid? I would never take your money. That would be so out of line, so ridiculous. Here you are making up stories trying to make me look bad. You have no respect for me." She starts really trying to spin this thing into poor me, look at me, I'm the poor victim because my kid has suspicions that I stole his money. And he kind of turns it on her and says, "All right, fine. Well, if it wasn't you, then it was your kids because the money's gone and the only people in the house are the people in the house." And he puts her in a weird spot, because that makes a lot of sense. Like, logically, that tracks. Even his dad is kind of nodding his head, yeah. If it's not his stepmom and the money that he had been saving in his closet is gone, somebody took it. It's not like it grew legs, got up, and disappeared. It's not the beginning of evolution. It's not when the fish decided to make the jump to land. That's not what happened here. Benjamin Franklin didn't suddenly become an anamorph and start walking off. He stayed on the dollar bill, I promise. But she does not like her children being called thieves, and she's immediately like, "No, they would never steal anything." And he says, "Well, then it must have been you." And even his dad at that point says, "I'm not saying you stole it, honey, but if it wasn't you and it wasn't me, then it has to have been your kids, because where else would the money have gone?" And at that point, she realizes she made a mistake, but she doesn't really have an explanation other than selling out her kids. And she might be a bad stepmother, but apparently she draws the line at selling out her own kids. Selling out kids that aren't technically yours is totally different. That's horrible step-parenting, by the way. I feel like if you're gonna be a step-parent, you just gotta really embrace it. Treating them differently, doing stupid stuff like this is not good step-parenting. And it's like even worse because you agreed to marry someone knowing you were going to be a step-parent. I don't know. Not that being a bad parent is good, but like being a bad step-parent, you agreed to this marriage. Why, if you really knew you didn't want to do it, why'd you do it? Well, I guess the same goes for kids. Whatever, forget the analogy, all right? Pretend it didn't happen. So she finally admits to taking it, but she has to do this long-winded speech about how sometimes when somebody just treats you so poorly for so long, you do things that you later regret, and the amount of ungratefulness that her stepson had shown her is off the charts. He never went out of his way to do anything to make her life easier, blah, blah, blah. Keep in mind, going to school, working 40 hours a week, and he was really pissed off at this because every day he would come home from work and have to do the dishes or have to clean the house, clean the bathroom. He kind of felt like Cinderella, the way he had an evil stepmom making him do chores, to be honest. He was just a lot less pretty. But basically admitting that she was taking all of this money and she had stolen the thousands of dollars in cash out of his closet while he was at work, which meant she had gone through and snooped through all of his belongings because he was ungrateful. Even if someone is ungrateful, it doesn't mean you can just go rob them. Like, what, man? I think we can all agree there are some people that are probably ungrateful for the money they have. It doesn't mean that their bank account is just open season. Some people that have a lot of money, some people that have money in their closet can be ungrateful. And I don't even think this kid was ungrateful. I'm just saying it's a really stupid reason to think it's justified to steal from someone. You just can't rob people, even if they're the most ungrateful person ever. But after she admits it and gives her reasoning, she looks at his dad kind of for some backup as if he's going to support her. And thankfully, for once on the Scrubs channel, he actually has a backbone and starts freaking out on her, asking her why she would ever think that's okay. And especially pointing out that she would never do this to her own kids, which she doesn't even deny. She doesn't even pretend to be a good stepmom. She just embraces it and says that, well, her kids are different because her kids were way better behaved, and so it was totally different if they weren't as grateful. All right, I'm gonna interrupt the video for 1 second. Press the like button and comment. Otherwise, no joke, no scam, this lady will be your stepmom. All right. I know it's a bad one, but I don't make the rules, I just follow them. So you gotta press the like button. So she's saying that he's so much worse than his step-siblings, right? That it's totally different. Even if his step-siblings weren't grateful, they're just so well-behaved. They're absolute angels. And that's absurd because his stepbrother, who was the only one still at home and was like a year younger than him, had just recently, about a month ago, decided to enter his foray into doing bad things by stealing his grandmother's car. Pretty up there in terms of stupid things to do. Like, stealing a car in general is really dumb. It's extra dumb to steal a car from your grandma. What if she has a medical emergency? Oh, where's the car? My grandson took it. Guess I'll just suffer the stroke here. Either way, he steals his grandma's car, takes it on a joyride, decides to try to race someone in a grandma car. It's not fast, loses control of the car, not his, did I mention it's his grandma's, crashes the car, totals the car, and then flees the scene. Gets caught, and when he gets caught is mad that he now has to go over to his grandma's and mow the lawn for the next year to pay for it. She didn't even make him pay for the car. He just has to mow the lawn and he's mad about it. But yes, somehow the guy who's working all these hours to afford a car is the horrible one who's insanely misbehaved. He just was not worse than his step-siblings. He had never stolen anyone's car and crashed it, which put him in a league of his own. It's not saying much to have never done that. And I'm not saying that this guy was like perfectly behaved, but compared to stealing and totaling your grandma's car, anything's pretty chill. Whatever you stay up too late sometimes, well, at least I didn't steal and crash a car. If that's a fair comparison you can make because your family members have done that, you automatically should not be the least favorite. I'm not saying there should be favorites, but you're picking up what I'm putting down. And then she decides to drop a massive ultimatum on this guy's dad and says, your son is tearing our family apart and you need to send him to military school or boarding school or something. And if you're not willing to do that, then this relationship is over. Like, I don't want to be with someone that's not willing to stand up for me and my kids. And his dad starts laughing. He's like, you're really going to give me an ultimatum between you and my kid? And she folds her arms and says yes. And his dad does the duh thing and says, well, I'm going to pick my kid. This situation is insane. You're in the wrong 100%. I'm not going to sell him out because you decided to steal his money and then say that it's okay because he's badly behaved. Like, what's wrong with you? And she started freaking out, saying that he would regret that, da-da-da-da-da. The kid ended up going to his mom's, but yeah, I guess his dad is officially ending that thing. And now she's trying to be all like, no, please, I'm so sorry. But the dad's staying strong, saying that he can't really go back on that. Plus, if someone really hates your kid, it's just not gonna work, man. Like, you're kind of stuck with your kid. There's not much you can do to not be your kid's parent anymore. So trying to spend the rest of your life with someone that genuinely hates your kids would be impossible. Like, how do you even do that? Well, yeah, I thought this story was insane. I knew you guys would like it at least. It is a happy ending. He says his dad does not seem too shaken up or disturbed about it, so maybe this is all a good thing. Everybody wins in the end. I don't know, I just work here. Anyways, press the like button and comment. If you don't know what to comment, just comment stepmom down below, and everyone that watches this will be really confused why all the comments say stepmom. Subscribe if you're new and turn on those notifications. I would really appreciate it. And if you want to listen to these story times in audio format, I do post them on Spotify, link down below. A link to the intro song can be found down there too. And yeah, on that note, guys, I think that'll really do it. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. Be sure to comment so everyone is confused why it says stepmom. And I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace. Today's video, we got a Scrubs channel first. Someone that works as a security guard at like a department store thing sent in to me this story time about this super entitled, spoiled kid that he had the unfortunate pleasure of interacting with. But I knew it would be a good story time, so without further ado, let's get into it.
Nice racking her ass Brazilian. Just turned 21, but my bank's a million. Swear.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. Here's yesterday's comment of the day. And today, like I said, I've got a nut story time that was sent in to me by a security guard about a spoiled kid. Should be a good one, and also happy Overwatch 2 Day to everybody that's going to be playing it. You know, I brought back the OG Overwatch gameplay one more time. Alright, so this guy got a job as a security guard at a department store, thinking that there would never really be anything he had to do, you know? He literally applied with it thinking that, like, oh, malls are dying, no one's there anyways, it's not like I'm gonna have to be doing a whole lot of securing. And for 90% of the time, he was absolutely correct. It was a very boring job. He would just kind of walk around like Paul Blart. Except he never had to give the illusion he had a weapon on a Segway. He would just kind of look at everyone and say, hi, how are you? You know, every now and then he might have to go stand there while a customer was getting kicked out or whatever. But usually when security showed up, people were like, I'm just going to go, because they didn't want it to turn into a bigger thing. So it was a really easy job. There was one dumb rule he hated, though, which was that they really couldn't do anything against people that were shoplifting. Like, if people were taking stuff, they could say, hey, we see you taking stuff, but they couldn't chase them out of the store. They couldn't, like, take the stuff back. I understand it's an insurance liability, but in my mind, it's like, what's the point of having security if they can't actually secure the stuff? Is it just to make people think twice about it? Whatever, either way, every now and then someone would steal stuff, they would usually go confront them, and the person would just kind of leave the store, sometimes with the stuff, sometimes without it, so that sucked, but that was the only thing that really he didn't enjoy. Otherwise, it was getting paid to just kind of stand around a mall that was mostly empty and just look at stuff and be like, wow, this department store sure would have been popping in 1957. One day, though, the manager comes over the radio and is like, hey, we have a guy that looks like he's taking stuff in the men's shoe section. Can you come over here and just keep an eye on it and see what's going on? And that wasn't an unusual call. It wasn't super common, but he had done that before. So he goes over there and he's a little bit confused because the only guy in this shoe section is this dude wearing like head-to-toe designer. His outfit probably costs about as much as the security guard's car. Like, he just was very confused on why this guy would be stealing. But sure enough, he starts kind of watching him from afar, and he watches the guy pick up one of the display shoes that doesn't actually have a pair. It's more just kind of there so people know what it looks like. And he cuts the little wire that he has with scissors and puts it in his jacket. And the security guard's really confused as to why you would ever want a display shoe. It's not something he's ever really thought about someone stealing before. So he decides to go confront him, and he walks up to him and just says like, hey man, you have to put that back, you can't take that. Which is a pretty nice way to confront a shoplifter. It's not like, stop thief, I will cut off your hand. Just, hey, can you please put that back, you can't take that. Pretty chill. But the rich kid turns around and looks at him like he's just a magic dragon with 3 heads, dude. Just the most insane thing he's ever seen before, and says, are you talking to me? And the guard's a little bit confused because he's literally the only person in the section. There's no one else there. There's no one else he even could be talking to unless he's going full Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends right now. So he says, yeah, I'm talking to you. And before he can get any other words out, the kid immediately is like, what did I do? Why do you need to talk to me? I didn't do anything. Which is a really weird thing to do if you actually didn't do anything. I mean, I guess that could be your reaction. But if somebody says, hey, put that back, and you didn't take anything, you would go, oh, I didn't take anything. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't think you would just immediately start screaming, what did I do? And so the security guard's confused, so he just tells him, like, look, dude, we don't have to make a scene. We don't have to scream. I'm not gonna, like, call the cops or anything. Just put back the shoe and leave and we're good. You are doing the most by making this into a scene and yelling. Like, you don't have to do that. And he starts yelling back at the security guard that you're the one making this scene. You're the one who walked up to me and started accusing me of stealing. And the security guard at this point looks around to see if, like, there's anyone around even watching this. There's nobody in the store. So he looks at the guy and is like, there's literally nobody here. Why are you yelling? Why are you screaming at me? Why are you accusing me of making a scene? There's no one around to even observe the scene if there was one. But I think at this point, the rich kid thought that he was going to be able to, like, guilt trip his way out of it. So he says, well, you're accusing me of being a thief and it's making me upset. And the security guard says, I'm not accusing you of being a thief. I watched you take the shoe. And the kid's like, what shoe? What shoe? Tell me what shoe's missing. So the security guard walks over to the empty spot on the display where the display shoe is missing and says, that one, the one that you took, that's in your pocket. And he points at the kid's, like, jacket pocket. And a shoe doesn't really fit in a jacket pocket incredibly well. So it's very obvious that there's a shoe in his pocket. But he denies it again. He's like, there's no shoe in my pocket. Anyways, the kid does this, like, very over-the-top spin move thing, like puts out his arms and does an aggressive spin, trying to show that there's nothing in his jacket, he didn't take anything. The only problem is his, like, super over-the-top move to show that he had nothing causes there to be enough force from the spin for the shoe that he had in his jacket to come flying out of his pocket. And I would love to say that it went flying across the entire store, hit the manager, knocked him out. They, like, fell asleep in front of the receipt machine. That's not what happened. It just plops onto the ground. But the security guard looks at it. The kid looks down, looks at it, realizes what it is, and yells, that's not mine. Yeah, everybody just carries around an extra display shoe on them at all times, just in case they need to do something like this. It's not yours? You're right, it's not yours, because you weren't supposed to have it, but you were trying to take it. So the security guard just says, okay, picks it up and puts it back. And the kid is still standing there just staring at him, not really knowing what he's going to do. And he's like, well, what are you going to do about it? And the security guard says, I think that you should just leave. Like, just leave, bro. Keep in mind, he knows he's stolen it. They have security footage of him stealing it. If he really, really wanted to, he could call the cops and it would take forever for them to come because they have more important stuff going on, but he could get in trouble. The kid, not realizing this, though, thinks that he's just being soft and, like, not wanting to do anything or, like, is afraid of him. So he starts talking crap to him, like, oh, don't you have anything better to do than sit here and stop me from taking one shoe? I mean, it's his job. It's what he's being paid to do. So by definition, I'm sure he has stuff he'd rather be doing. But in this moment, yeah, he has nothing better to do than stop you. I love that idea. What, you have nothing better to do? That's like getting mad at a traffic light for changing colors. Don't you have anything better to do than change colors? It's like that's literally what traffic lights do, man. Security guard things. Like, it's just what they're supposed to do. What do you mean, don't you have anything better to do? No, that's why he's here at this moment. You think he just volunteers? You think there's not an exchange of money for his services? You think this is just what he decided to spend his Saturday doing, volunteering to protect the department store? But anyways, he starts trying to talk crap and the security guard just wants him to leave. It's more annoying for him to be here. So he reminds him again, listen, I could have you arrested, but I'm telling you to just leave. So go ahead and go. And the kid says something about how he's not going to leave. No one can make him leave. Even if he was going to steal something, because he didn't actually steal it, he can't get in trouble. And then the security guard just takes a step towards him, not because he was going to grab him or anything, but because he was just going to walk away and he was happening to walk past him. He could tell that this kid wanted an argument more than anything, so his plan was like, all right, well, if I just walk away and he's left to talk to nobody but himself, eventually he'll tire himself out and leave. But for whatever reason, this, like, spoiled kid who is still trying to argue about stealing a solitary shoe while wearing $7,000 worth of clothes thinks that he's, like, coming over to him. So he starts screaming out that the security guard can't arrest him, he doesn't have the right to detain him, and he starts backing up. And the security guard isn't going to arrest him, he doesn't even have that authority. But he's not exactly explaining I don't have that authority, he's just continuing to try to walk past him. And the kid starts freaking out, turns around, and starts sprinting. And where they were at was like the shoe department against the back wall. And it was a straight shot, probably 400 feet to like the door to leave the store. So he starts running away as fast as he can. And the kid was pretty fast. Even the guy who sent this in to me was like, I'll give it to him. He had a good 40 time. I don't know if it's going to be good for the NFL draft or whatever, but still, like, the kid was fast. You got to give it to him. And he's running away, but the guard was never chasing him in the first place. He was not going over here to try to arrest him at all. He was just trying to walk past him. So the kid looks back and thinks that the guard isn't chasing him or has already given up, when in reality, the chase just never started. And he thinks it's because he's just so incredibly fast. So he starts saying that he practices running every day. Like the stupid security guard can't catch him. So much for Paul Blart thinking he had the ability to keep up. The security guard hasn't taken any steps above a walking pace. Like, not even once. This kid is so off in his own world, he's convinced himself he's in a high-speed chase that isn't happening. Imagine being with a person in the car and like a cop car's behind you with no lights on. They just start driving insanely fast. The car doesn't even start chasing you. And they're like, dude, did you see how we escaped that cop chase? What are you talking about, man? Like, no one was even chasing you. But whatever, as he's running away while like looking back, talking crap to the guard for being too slow, not being able to catch him, he's not really paying attention. He's more focused on taunting than he is looking where he's going. And he doesn't realize that when you're really fast, you cover ground quickly, and he's running out of room fast. And it just so happened that these doors were a pull door to exit. So like if he runs into them, it's not gonna push open with him, he's gonna smack into the door. And I'm sure the security guard could have theoretically said, watch out, you don't wanna run into that door. But he's sitting there thinking to himself, that's what a good security guard would do. Remember, he's slow and stupid and all these other things this kid has said, and a slow, stupid security guard wouldn't warn someone they're about to run into a door. Keep in mind, the kid isn't getting away with anything. He left the shoe he was trying to take, which still doesn't make any sense. He was trying to steal a shoe? A shoe? What, did you just want some like sick drip for the hopscotch competition? In what scenario is having one shoe gonna cut it? Whatever though, he's full sprint and now he's critically close to the door. There's no way he's going to be able to avoid smacking into it. But instead of running into it chest first, it's almost like he feels something coming, so he turns his head to look at the very last second. And the second he looks, he smacks into the door and he's going full speed. And he's not like a really tiny guy, so he smacks into the door with some force. And where this person lives, it happens to get really bad storms, so this door had gotten like hurricane strength glass, which is why it didn't break. But what did break is his nose. Because when he had turned to look and just be straight ahead, his nose smacked straight into the glass and it broke. And he knew it was broken because immediately it just started pouring blood. And so the kid looks back at the security guard now after he's smacked into the door and broken his nose. And as much as the security guard would love to pretend that he like felt really bad and immediately wanted to help him, he's straight up in tears laughing. Imagine someone trying to get away saying that you're an idiot, you're never going to be able to catch them. They turn around, smack so hard into a door they break their nose. You'd feel bad, but at the same time, you would be giggling. But he looks back all embarrassed, clearly ashamed. I would be too, trying to make a quick escape, talking crap and ending up like that. And to make it even more like sweet for the security guard, his bloody nose had just leaked all over his designer shirt. So here he is, broken nose, no single shoe that he was trying to steal, and blood all over the designer shirt. Seems like the least profitable shoplifter of all time. Destroy a shirt that's worth a couple $100 while trying to steal a single shoe that no one was going to buy. And also, how stupid, man. Like, it's one thing if you're having to steal baby formula because you're having a rough month and you don't have food to feed your kid, but you gotta make ends meet. It's still not good to steal, but I think everyone could understand, maybe if you're in that situation. If you're wearing a shirt that costs a couple $100, trying to steal shoes that cost like $40, I don't feel bad for you, I just think you're a moron, because if you wouldn't have bought the shirt for a couple $100, you probably could have afforded the shoes. Like, goodness gracious, he probably thought it would disguise him. They're never gonna think I'm shoplifting anything if I'm wearing designer. Meanwhile, the security guard, while he's obviously cutting the single shoe off the wire, Anyways, he's standing there, blood dripping out of his broken nose, the security guard laughing, but the kid has to leave. It's not like he can turn around and get any help because he just tried to steal from the store. So he turns and starts trying to push the door open. It's a pull door. I'm sure the adrenaline in the moment, like the pain, you know when you get hit in the nose and you can't really see? He starts trying to shove on this door to the point where he's like basically banging on it before he figures out it's a pull door. And this, him messing with the door and failing, just looking like a moron, is making the security guard laugh even harder, because, like, how could you not? After a very long fight, he gets the door open, he leaves, and the security guard starts walking over there, still laughing, crying about it all, and gets on the radio saying that he needs to talk to management because something happened. They just have to fill out a report anytime anyone gets injured in the store, whether or not it was an accident or whatever. But the manager comes down, and keep in mind, the last time the manager had seen anything is when they had called over and been like, hey, someone's trying to steal some shoes. So they come around the corner, and all they see is the security guard with tears in his eyes and a huge pool of blood. And they start freaking out like, oh my God, what happened? Oh, is everything okay? Oh my gosh, I'll call 911. Rah. The security guard's like, no, I'm fine. And they start asking, well, what happened? Like, why is there a pool of blood on the floor? Why are you crying? Like, what happened? It is weird to be crying if a pool of blood is on the ground unless someone got injured, you know? So he explains that he was laughing so hard he was crying and says that he confronted the guy. The guy started freaking out even though it like really wasn't that deep. Next thing you know, he tries to sprint out even though no one is chasing him, smacks into the door, breaks his nose, struggles trying to get the door open to the point where like all this blood out of his nose is pooling there and he finally gets away. But like, yeah, someone had to clean it up and he knew they had to file a report. And the manager is standing there listening to this rendition and tells the security guard, like, I know you guys aren't supposed to hit shoplifters, but like, it's okay. I won't tell anyone. That story's ridiculous. They just didn't believe that had actually happened at all. They thought the security guard had gotten a little bit over the top and like it hit the guy. The guy had gotten away, but he was trying to make up some story to cover himself from getting fired. And the security guard is like, I'm 100% serious. In fact, if we go watch the footage, you will see that what I'm saying is the truth. And the manager and now the head security guard are over there, and they're both trying to convince this guy that they shouldn't go watch the footage. Because if they watch the footage and they see that it was a fight or something, they're going to have to fire him and report it. Whereas if they just say that, like, you know, it was an accident and don't watch the footage, then it's okay. He doesn't want everyone to think that he was attacking this poor guy, though, so he says, no, let's go watch it. And they're fighting with him, like, we don't want to watch it. We like working with you. Come on, let's go watch it. So reluctantly, the three of them go into the security office. They start moving the camera around to the time where it was. And sure enough, they see this entire thing go down. They see like this comically weird battle where the security guard is really calm, the kid's screaming, and then out of nowhere, he takes off sprinting, looking back, talking trash, not paying attention, turns, smacks into the door, blood starts going everywhere, and he leaves. And he's relieved that everybody now knows that he's telling the truth, but he starts looking at the manager and his, like, boss, and both of them are in tears laughing because they can't believe how dumb this guy was. So they make him retell the story again, and they start calling basically everybody in one by one, like, you gotta see this, you gotta see this, you gotta see this. And by the end of that guy's shift, basically every single worker in this department store had seen it. A bunch of people had, like, you know, started telling other people about it. There were other stores in the mall that had come over and asked to see the footage because someone had gone on their lunch break and hung out with X from X store and told them about it. But what makes this sweeter is him breaking his nose was so funny they're showing everyone, right? And while they're showing somebody recognizes him, tells them who he is, and through that, they're able to track him down. Come to find out, he's like the son of some people that are super prominent in the community. So they contact them, send them the footage. They say, yeah, that's our son, and he gets banned from the mall. But not just like banned. We're talking about actually banned. Like everyone in every store is aware of him. Which happens usually, but because this kid had become so famous within the mall community because of like how embarrassing it was, everyone at that particular mall knew who he was. And because his parents were prominent in the community, they were so embarrassed by this, because imagine having like a good business reputation, Next thing you know, your kid gets caught trying to steal a shoe, roasting the security guard, trying to run away and breaking his nose. You probably would ground him too, let's be honest. So they ground him because they're so embarrassed, so he probably messed that up too, all to steal a display shoe. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm no mathematician, but if I do a cost-benefit analysis on that real quick, I don't think it was worth it. I still don't understand what he was trying to do. Like, was it a dare or something? We dare you to go in there and steal his shoe? What a stupid dare, especially because they just abandoned you, man. Like, if your friends would have been waiting outside for you, that's one thing. They didn't care. Could you imagine he had to go to school with this broken nose? Everyone's like, oh, what happened? As much as he wishes he had some cool story like fighting an alligator, it's just actually that he managed to walk into glass too hard. I don't know. I just thought this story was insane. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Like I said, I would get back to the long ones. Here's a 20-minute video for y'all. I got a really long video coming out in a couple days that I think you guys are going to enjoy, but I've been on the grind, so if you appreciate the daily upload streak, then be sure to press the like button and comment down below. If you don't know what to comment down below, just comment nose job, because that's probably what this guy's gonna need after this. And if you're new, you should subscribe and turn on those notifications. I post videos every single day. And if you like listening to the story times, but you would rather listen to the audio version of them, then you can always do that by checking out the Spotify that I have in the link down below. I post the stories there. You can also find yourself a link to the intro song down there too. And last but not least, I do a podcast over on my third channel, Scrubby, where I just kind of react to weird news and whatnot. So if you like that content, feel free to check it out. Yeah, on that note though, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace. My dog is one of my prized possessions. I just think he's a very cute, good boy. And the idea of someone stealing him makes me very angry. So when I saw someone send into me a story time where someone tried to steal their dog, I knew I had to share it with y'all, and it's absolutely batty. Thought y'all would enjoy it. I've got a lot of other stories too. It's gonna be a long one, so grab the popcorn, hit the like button, and sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Nice racking her ass Brazilian. Just turned 21, but my bank's a million.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And like I said in the intro, we're gonna open up with a dog getting stolen. Here is yesterday's comment of the day. Thank you so much. And with that out of the way, don't steal people's dogs. I didn't know I had to come out here and make it a disclaimer, but I definitely do apparently. So the person that sent this in to me had just adopted a rescue dog from the pound, and it was still young, not like fully grown yet, but not like a little tiny cute baby puppy. It was still a cute baby puppy, but you get what I'm saying. There's like a tiny little tiny baby puppy and then a puppy. And they had a puppy and it was very cute, and a lot of people in the apartment complex had gotten very envious, but there was this particular lady who had gotten a little bit obsessed with this subscriber's dog and had started asking when they were going to take it on walks so she could come see it, and, you know, if she could have some time walking it alone, just weird questions. You're not allowed to walk someone's dog alone if you don't know them. That's super weird. Like, if the guy who lives 5 doors down that I don't know at all started asking to walk my dog, I'd be very confused as to why he's doing that. Anyways, one day the subscriber's at work and they come home to their front door kicked in. Like somebody had taken the boot to it, kicked off the front door's lock right in, and had taken the dog. So they call the police and report it, and obviously the police come out and they're investigating what had happened to this apartment because it's a pretty serious break-in. The front door lock is broken. Like, they kicked in the door. And as the police are there doing their little reporting thing, his neighbor lady that had been obsessed with his dog walks up to him and says, "Oh my goodness, what happened? What did they take? Your dog?" Which is a super weird thing to say if you don't know what they took. I feel like robbers aren't huge on taking dogs. So the fact that she walked up and immediately said, "What did they take, your dog?" made his eyebrows start to go up a little bit. But whatever, the police say they're gonna look into it and they'll be on the lookout for the dog, but no promises because it's hard to recover stolen property, which sucks to hear, but whatever, I don't know. So he goes about his day, and the next day he stays home from work because he's very distraught about his dog being stolen. I think anyone would be upset about that. That doesn't strike me as something that happens to you and you wake up the next morning. Oh, well, these things happen. You know, you can always get another dog. It is what it is. Like, I hope that's not people's reaction to this stuff. So he goes and he's taking a walk and he sees the neighbor that's obsessed with his dog is walking a dog and she didn't have one, so that's weird. And what's even weirder is it looks like his dog. So he starts to get closer and the dog that looks like his dog starts freaking out, trying to pull to him very excitedly, as if a dog that had missed its owner. And he realizes that's my dog. So he goes over there and she's just pretending not to see him, which is not a great way to get out of a confrontation. If I just pretend they don't exist and throw my head in the sand like an ostrich, none of it actually exists. Especially when you're stealing someone's dog, just ignoring them doesn't exist. Especially when the dog's trying to get to them because it misses their owner. So he starts confronting her, being like, "Why did you take my dog? Let go of my dog, let go of my dog." And he goes up and unclips the dog from the harness. And the lady looks and sees that the dog has been unclipped from the harness, looks back at him, looks back at the dog, looks back at him, does a triple take, and says, "Whatever, you can have it," and just walks away. Probably because she realized if she tried to put up a fight or like claim that she had bought it from somebody, the guy was just going to report her and she would have been screwed. How did you come into possession of the dog? Oh, I don't know. The guy was very excited to have his dog back, so he immediately takes the dog home. It was okay. It didn't look like it was mistreated or like treated poorly in any way. But he calls up the police department and lets them know that his neighbor had taken the dog, and instead of coming to investigate, they're like, "Great, you got your dog back." I don't know where this guy lives, but wherever it is, I'm not trying to live there, because that seems like a weird reaction. Oh, that break-in that happened? You figured out who did it? Great. Glad you got your dog back. I mean, I guess they couldn't confirm she had done it, but the fact that this little old lady had become so obsessed with this dude's dog, she was willing to go kick in the door like an FBI response team. Goodness gracious, bro. Like, dog napping is nuts. I don't even know why you would want someone else's dog. The idea of ripping a dog away from its owner and then trying to make it love me just sounds like something only an anime villain would do. For real, for real. So the guy gets his dog back, and ever since, his neighbor has just been avoiding him and acting like he's the bad guy, trying to convince people in the complex that he did a bunch of stuff and that's why she's avoiding him. And he's like, "No, I didn't do anything. She stole my dog." And everyone in the complex is kind of on his side because it's not the first time she's had some sticky fingers. A bunch of people started telling him stories about how she's apparently notorious for stealing things from people. So guard your dogs, apparently. Apartment complex, a house, you never know. Things are getting crazy in the year 2022. I just don't know why you would steal a dog. This lady deserves to be in a not nice place. Okay, this next one is just some bad parenting. Gen Z taking an enormous L. It seems like Gen Z just can't take a W. I'm a part of Gen Z, by the way. A lot of people got confused. Yes, I'm old Gen Z, a little bit of a boomer Gen Z, but I technically count. This guy had a little brother who was like insanely addicted to Xbox. I think everybody goes through that phase. At least I did. I don't know if it's common. Like some boomers are probably listening to this, real boomers. "I never played Xbox back in my day." Yeah, you were a kid in the 40s, dude. You were more worried about getting drafted for World War II than you were about a Modern Warfare 2 lobby. We get it. We appreciate everything you guys did, you know, but times have changed. Anyways, this guy's little brother was a little bit too addicted to Xbox to the point where he would get really, really mad at video games. And I get raging. I'm not trying to say I've never gotten mad before, but if you ever start like actually crying, shaking of anger at a video game, it's time to just take a little bit of a break, go outside. What's that message that Nintendo Switch gives you if you're on it for like too long straight? Oh, go outside, take a break, you can do it. That's what kind of needs to happen, and that's how mad his brother would get. And so one day, everyone's having a normal night. It's like a school night, whatever, and his brother's playing Fortnite in the next room. And he's getting pretty loud, he's getting excited, but whatever. He's not going to tell him to shut up or stop making noise, because even back in the day when Fortnite was popping, if you're top 3 and you're trying to give callouts, you're going to get hype, you're going to get a little loud, and it is what it is. So he's listening to his brother, and his brother starts like frantically making callouts as if they're in a fight and they're not doing too hot. And listen, Fortnite is fun. I'm not trying to say Fortnite's not fun. I'm not trying to say that Fortnite is as fun as it was in 2018, though. So he didn't know why his brother was taking it so seriously and getting so upset, but it becomes clear that his team loses this little engagement because he starts screaming about how his team was trash, and if they just did their jobs, then they wouldn't be in this situation every time they tried to do something in the game. And he couldn't believe he had to deal with teammates that were this brain dead, blah, blah, blah. Not very nice things. And then he hears things start getting thrown. He hears things being broken. And instead of just ending at things being thrown and things being broken, he hears what is like a bowl in a china shop, almost like someone took a mini wrecking ball like Miley Cyrus and started throwing it around the room. Whatever's going on in there, it sounds like not much is surviving. So he goes out into the hallway, and his dad is coming up the stairs to go investigate because it's made such a racket that even he's like, what is going on? And they open the door in what used to be a really cool room with this like desk that was on the wall, set up all nice, very, very well attached to the wall, sick looking, is now just the ruins of it. It's pulled off the wall. The entire desk has been pulled off the wall. The drywall's come off with it. The other walls just have holes in the drywall everywhere. Almost like he took his fist and just went every 4 inches and kept punching. And his brother is standing there still screaming about how it's so bullcrap that his team wouldn't do what they had to do. And his dad is looking at this situation, and imagine being in his shoes. Like, this guy didn't grow up with video games, and even if you did grow up with video games, this is nuts. You trashed a room, but you pay for this house. You're making the payment every month for this house. You open the door. Your kid has trashed everything, all the nice stuff you've given him, because he came in second place in the Fortnite game. So his dad starts yelling at him like, why would you do this? But his little brother turns to his dad and tells him to shut up because he won't understand, which was not a good idea. So his dad walks over, takes his Xbox, and just walks out of the room. He doesn't break it or anything, just takes it away. And his brother, the next day, goes to school and comes back to just his mattress on the floor, and his parents explaining that he was going to be sleeping with just his mattress on the floor till he learned to respect things. No more Xbox, no more computer, no more staying up late playing Fortnite. And his brother was pissed and was talking about how it was so unfair. And I don't know if this is like really mean of me, but what do you expect, dude? You trash your entire room, and not just trash it. We're not talking about like yelling, punching a monitor. We're talking about knocking holes in the wall, serious repairs having to be made to your room, and you expect your parents to do absolutely nothing about it and keep letting you play Xbox like you were before? If you can play video games and get good grades and like have no problem and have a job, good for you, then keep on gaming. But the second you start, I don't know, destroying your house, being unable to function because of it, it's probably time to take a step back and stop doing what you're doing. I just thought that was nuts though, especially in the year 2022. It would be nuts any year, but the fact he's still going this crazy for Fortnite this year goes to show he's way out of touch too. You're not gonna go pro, buddy. I don't even think people are really playing Fortnite these days, other than the pro players and the people that enjoy the no builds. So this next story that was sent in to me is from a guy that's in college. So he's staying in some apartments that like aren't the best quality. They're super near his campus, but his campus is old. So the apartments are old, which means he can basically hear his neighbors living their day-to-day life. Some guy gets in an argument with his wife. He gets a play-by-play. Might as well be sitting live in like an episode of Dr. Phil or Maury, the way that this guy's just dealing with having to listen to these people live these dramatic lives. And the guy above him was just a party animal, almost like he didn't do anything but party. That was his only job, his only reason to exist. He didn't know what the guy actually did, but every night on the dot from like 8 p.m. to midnight, he would be insanely loud. And on weekends, it would be insanely loud till like 3, 4 a.m. This guy's trying to study, get ready for school and whatnot, and it's just too hard to like actually do anything with this person living above him. And anytime he would go up to try to ask him to turn it down, no one would answer the door, even if there was very obviously a party going on the other side. But whatever, one weekend he comes home on a Friday and sees this flyer in his door, and it's the apartment above him passing out flyers saying that it was their birthday and they were throwing a super large party and everyone was invited and everyone should bring everyone that they could. And this just meant one thing to this guy, was that his night was going to be absolutely miserable. And it just so happened that that weekend was a long weekend, so he starts calling up all of his friends trying to find something else to do so he doesn't have to be home that night. But like 99% of the school had gone back home for the weekend, so he was one of the only people left in town, so he's just kind of stuck with it. And sure enough, at 7 p.m., the music starts and the crowd just gets bigger and bigger, but eventually the crowd would stop normally. Like, that's how parties normally go. You hit terminal velocity, it can't get any bigger, no one else fits in the apartment, but that doesn't happen. People just keep coming, they keep cramming more people in. And it gets to the point that like people are jumping to the music and he's seeing his floor kind of going up and down. So he goes outside and goes upstairs to complain. And this time he's not going to be turned away. Like, this isn't safe, obviously. If the floor is buckling, you can't keep dancing there. And he goes up there and people are like on the railing of the balcony to the apartment complex out the door. And he looks into the apartment and it's like a sardine can. People are shoulder to shoulder. It looks like if you farted in there, no one would be able to escape if it smelled rancid. Would be a fantastic place for somebody to try a stink bomb. Like, no one can escape. Deal with the stench. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Either way, he walks in and starts being like, yo, where's the owner? Where's the owner? And the guy says, it's me. And he says, you got to get some people out of there because the floor in the apartment beneath you is starting to buckle. Like, it's going to break. And the guy starts going on about how there's no way that could happen. That could never happen. Quit being ridiculous. Just enjoy the party. Why was he being such a buzzkill? And as they're having this discussion outside the apartment on this railing, the living room in the apartment where everyone was dancing and jumping goes down. And it just goes pfft. And there's a bunch of screaming. Everyone's going crazy. The world's gonna end. We're all gonna die. The floor collapsed. And the guy looks back at him and says, well, I guess I should have got some people out of there, huh? My bad. As if that's all it's going to be, bro. You just collapse the floor onto this other dude's living room and you think saying, oops, my bad is gonna cover it? And he says, like, I'm gonna contact the landlord. And he starts trying to convince him that he shouldn't contact the landlord and he wouldn't be being a cool neighbor if he did that. Yeah, you know what else isn't cool? Throwing a party so big that the floor literally collapses. What if he would have still been on his couch when like 40 people plummeted through the floor? I don't know, man. He might have been leaving in something other than a stretcher, more like a hearse. Like, that can't be good for you. So he says, look, I've got no choice. Plus, we need to get this fixed. I can't live there if I don't have a roof above me and you don't have a floor. Like, how is that going to work? So he calls the landlord and tells him, and the landlord finds out and is immediately super apologetic and starts explaining that this guy has had problems before and that he was going to be evicted. So he gives the guy the eviction notice. The guy's pissed, starts blaming the subscriber, saying all of this was his fault. And how was he supposed to know that this had been an issue before and you were going to get evicted? And on top of that, you broke his roof, bro. What did you want him to do when you plummeted 30 people into his living room? You gave him no choice but to make it his business and report you. People are just nuts, man. Alright, so this is just a story that's like not long enough for its own video, but I've wanted to tell on the channel, so I hope you guys like it. A while ago, I was in the lunchroom back in middle school, and this was a little bit more organized than high school. It was just more out of control. It's a little bit harder to control people that are going to be adults in like 1 or 2 years. But back in middle school, there was one person who would get up on this little stage thing and give announcements, and it was usually like a teacher's pet, goody two-shoes type of person. If you like to follow the rules, good for you, but if you're annoying and like love snitching on people and act like Randall from Recess, you're not very swag. But whatever, the person would get up there and give the speech, and it just so happened to be this guy that had snitched on a ton of people, so he was not very popular with the school. And one day I walk in, and my table was here, but it was connected to another table, and the kid who sat at the table connected to us was in trouble a lot of the time, and he says, "I'm gonna throw a tomato at that guy." And I was like, "What do you mean you're gonna throw a tomato at that guy?" And in my mind, I'm envisioning that thing from medieval times where they would put that dude in like the wooden holder thing in the middle of town and people could throw things at him. And he opens his backpack, and sure enough, he has 2 tomatoes, and he's like, "That guy snitched on me and got me suspended, so I'm gonna throw a tomato at him." And I'm like, "All right, well, yeah, go for it." And I know, the right thing to do would have been to stop him. But I'll be honest, I wanted to see what would happen if he threw a tomato at him. And he had also snitched on me and gotten me in trouble, so I wasn't exactly like, "Oh no, don't throw the tomato at the guy. That would be very sad." No, throw it at him. Splatter it on his face. I don't really care. I think that would be hilarious. So my friends show up to lunch, and I don't really tell them because they have big mouths. I don't want it to like be loudly announced and then everyone become aware of it. So I'm just sitting there watching, and sure enough, about halfway through lunch, he gets up, walks over about 15 feet away from the guy as he's announcing what's coming up with the school. "The dance is going to be on this day, on this da-da-da-da-da." And as he's in the middle of the speech, this tomato, which has been sitting in his backpack for a bit, so it's gotten a little bit soggy. It's not like a firm tomato, it's squishy. Smacks into his forehead and splatters. It had gotten to that perfect consistency of just being held together by the skin, not much else, like there wasn't much substance. So as this tomato splats into his head, and it splats, it just goes everywhere. And he makes like a big ew noise into the microphone and immediately grabs it and says, "Whoever did that, you're going to be in big trouble." But as soon as the tomato hit him, a bunch of people have stood up and like started freaking out and laughing and pointing and, trying to make a scene. So the guy who threw the tomato just comes back and sits down and starts acting the most normal I've ever seen him. Usually this kid was in trouble, he was loud, he was rambunctious. This man came back to the table, tucked the napkin in the shirt, started using a fork and knife, "Please and thank you." "Ah, what is this chicken sandwich that I have here? Medium rare?" Like you would have thought this guy was seriously a whole new person the way he put on the act as if he was some angel. And believe it or not, he ended up getting away with it, dude. He literally splatted this guy he had beef with a tomato in the middle of the lunchroom as he was giving an announcement, and they couldn't figure out who did it. They went back and reviewed the security camera footage, and I don't know how it is that every phone is 1080p, but security cameras have this problem, but it was like 144p. So all it was a kid in a hoodie. There's a lot of kids in a hoodie in a middle school, so good luck figuring it out. And because everyone had jumped up, it had just gotten even more confusing, so he straight up got away with it. And to make it even funnier, the guy who did announcements had a little plexiglass screen put in as if he was a politician giving a dangerous speech. Just to make sure if anyone else got wild ideas, they couldn't pelt him with a tomato. If you're so bad at making announcements that the school is plotting to hit you with tomatoes, you might just want to give it up. Is it really that worth it? Is it? Wow, you announced that on the 15th of this month we'll be having a dance, and all you got for it was being hit in the face with a tomato. Doesn't seem like an even trade-off. And if you're going to get a privilege like that, at least do it by being really nice and cool and not snitching on people until the principal just finds you useful enough that they have to give you something you want. If you're selling out enough of your classmates that you're able to blackmail the teachers into giving you a position, you're snitching on your classmates way too much, let's be honest. So this one is just like a harmless prank that ended up going wrong, but it's still pretty funny. So the person who sent this in to me has gotten a little bit older, but when they were in high school, it was right around the time that every class got projectors, and it was a pretty big deal. And they had this teacher that they weren't too fond of because they took joy in embarrassing kids that didn't know too much about what was going on, But if you got an answer wrong, they would relish in being able to make you look stupid in front of the class, which is the worst type of teacher. If you want people to enjoy your class, help them enjoy it. Don't embarrass them when they're wrong. It's just going to make them slowly hate your subject more and more. But whatever, I digress. He decided to steal this teacher's projector remote just to mess with them a little bit because he thought it was funny. And it is pretty funny, and under most circumstances, the teacher would probably just order a new remote and it would harmlessly pass because it's not that big of a deal. But of course, the second that this teacher realized that their remote was missing, they started freaking out. They demanded that every student empty their pockets in front of them so they could double check that nobody had taken it. And at this point, the person who took it didn't want to take it forever. They were just going to take it for a class. But they had to hide it and get away with it because the teacher made it very clear that whoever had taken it was going to get expelled for trying to steal school property. So they get it through the pocket check and they have to just take it with them. And that's not their plan. It is not their goal to go ahead and take this for the entirety of their life. They were going to give it back, but their teacher really put them in a hard place where this harmless prank got forced to turn into them stealing it. So they go home and they just get rid of the remote. They didn't know what to do with it. They panicked. Yes, they probably could have just gone in and slipped it in. That's probably what they should have done. Hindsight is 20/20, but they were panicked. They didn't want to get in trouble, so they just get rid of the remote. So the next day, he goes into class and the teacher starts telling them that because of whatever unthoughtful, inhumane student stole the remote, they were going to be I don't know what happened there. My words got flipped, turned upside down like a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air intro song. They were going to have to get a new projector, and they didn't really get it because they thought the same thing I did, which is you can't just buy a remote. I'm sure the projector company absolutely loves that. Oh, you lost the tiny little projector remote? Yep, you just gotta give us the entirety of whatever a projector costs. I don't even know what they cost now, but back then they weren't cheap. It was relatively new technology. And the school started a school-wide investigation to try to find out who had taken it. And he didn't tell anyone he was going to take it because he just didn't feel like it was a good idea to get that spreading around, which was probably for the best because they even ended up putting out a reward for whoever could give them information. But sure enough, one day he comes into class and they had a new projector. So the principal had gone out and bought a brand new projector for this teacher. Makes you wonder what kind of dirt the principal must have had from the teacher. I'm just saying, I feel like at my school, we literally had to ask our parents for money because they didn't have money for paper for the printers. My school didn't have money for paper, guys. Paper, that's kind of something you need to do the school. Either way, it was just a weird situation where the teacher ended up getting their new projector, but for the rest of the year said that if they found out anything about who had done it, they would immediately be reporting them to the principal and they would be being prosecuted to the full extent of the law. So the person just kept it close to their vest and didn't tell anyone until they emailed it to me, which is hilarious because they're 33 now. So to whoever this was, power to you. Congratulations on keeping your secret. I don't think they're gonna find you. Could you imagine if this is how it all goes down? He gets a letter in the mail from the school district saying that they heard this story and they know who he is. And if he doesn't cough up the money for what the projector cost plus interest, he's going to be arrested. And because of the interest, it's $800,000 now, he owes over $1 million. With the interest, it's $1.8 million. The projector was $800,000 and it was originally purchased because it was such new technology. We all know school districts don't have that kind of money. You can't fool us. Alright guys, we're halfway through the video, and if you've been enjoying it so far, you should go down there and press the like button. And if you don't press the like button, then no joke, no scam, I will be forced to make my very large pet alligator eat you. Yeah, that's right. I found him in Florida. He was just kind of walking around the street. Super hungry. So press the like button and let's get back to the video. So sticking with the themes of apartments from earlier, this guy moved into this apartment complex and happened to be the youngest person who lived there by at least 30 years. It was just a much older complex, which was fine. They weren't giving him any issue, but they had a lot of time on their hands to worry about things. When you're retired and you're not going to work and coming home exhausted, certain things mean more to you. And they took their front flower displays on their porches very seriously. All the old ladies would walk around and chat with each other on their porches. and they were always changing it up. They had to have a consistent theme, you know? They had like the Halloween setup, the Thanksgiving setup. The two ladies who lived closest to him, though, really did not like each other because of this display thing that they would do. One lady felt like the other lady was copying her, and because of that was insanely mean to her. Would like constantly insult her whenever they were within earshot or eyeshot of each other, going above and beyond to make sure that everybody knew that she was a copycat and sucked. Anyways, Christmas was coming up, and he comes home one day and sees that they both have pretty similar displays, which is not a bad thing. It's Christmas. There's really only so much you're going to be able to do. They both had a Christmas tree. They both had a little nativity scene. I don't know. Like, there's only so much stereotypical Christmas decorations that you can put out. I'm sure if you went through the whole apartment complex, most people would have had some things in common. But whatever, he knows it's going to be some drama, so he just goes inside, sits on the couch, and starts playing video games, hoping that they don't make him intervene for some reason. Usually it just got too loud and argumentative that it was going to interrupt the entire complex, so he would go out and try to calm it down, but he's just trying to play video games and he hears it. "You bad female dog, you copied my entire scene. What's wrong with you? You're always copying me." "I didn't copy you. You copied me. You always copy me and then tell everyone that I copied you." See, they're both just accusing each other of some crazy things. There's levels to this. It's old lady beef, you know? So they're arguing, and he's like, "I don't want to get involved. I'm just going to let them argue it out. They can figure it out. They're big girls. They're 65. They can handle it." So he goes back to playing video games, but the argument just keeps getting more and more intense, and then it stops, and it just kind of sounds like they're both making animal noises at each other, kind of like, "Rah, rah, rah." So he goes and looks out the window, and on the porch across from him, these two old ladies are like slapping each other, trying to fight. It doesn't really look like a fight because they're both old. Neither one of them is throwing punches. But if they could have thrown punches, they would have thrown punches. And they're very angrily slapping each other. And so at that point, he's like, all right, I gotta intervene. What am I supposed to do? I can't let these old ladies literally come out and have a Hunger Game fight over some stupid displays. So he goes out there and breaks them up, and they both start trying to blame the fight on the other ones, saying that like the other person copied them. And the subscriber had just had enough of this, so he tells both of them that he doesn't really care who started it, he doesn't really care who copied who, but fighting over the decorations you have on your porch is insanely stupid. And then they start uniting on him, bro. They're like, well, it's not stupid to us. How dare you think it's stupid? Why are you trying to talk down to us? I don't know, maybe because you just made him come out and break up a fight because you guys can't get along for the 15 minutes it takes to walk past each other every day multiple times. I don't know how often they're seeing each other, okay? It's like retirement village. Who knows how often they have to interact, but I feel like you don't have to slap and fight each other over some decorations. Especially because he was like, it was not a carbon copy. He would have told me if one of them had just carbon copied the other. That wasn't what happened. They just happened to have some things in common because guess what? There's certain things that everyone just associates with the holiday. Imagine you're decorating for Halloween and you look across the street and your neighbor has a skeleton. You go over there, you're like, oh, trying to encroach on my turf, huh? Skeletons are my thing. And he's like, dude, skeletons are just a Halloween thing. Yeah, likely story. Nobody was using skeletons to decorate for Halloween until I started doing it. Everyone in this neighborhood just wants to be just like me. Goodness gracious, bro. Sometimes you just gotta take stuff too seriously. When you have nothing else going on, I feel like it's just a human desire to constantly have something to be like worried about for some reason. These people made it to retirement. Just go enjoy it. It's not like there's a ton of time left. I'm sorry, it's the reality. Why are you spending your time worrying about what your neighbor used to decorate their porch? Who really cares? None of this matters. Literally none of this matters. Especially to the point of throwing hands over it. You're lucky nobody got hurt. Two old ladies fighting, one of you falls down, breaks your hip. That's a fat lawsuit. So this next one is pure stupidity. I really would not recommend doing this. So this person works as a cashier at a gas station, and they're usually pretty paranoid, especially the last year or so. Things have just gotten crazier. They haven't been robbed. They don't want to be robbed. That's a very normal human reaction, I would say. One day, though, he's working, and this guy comes in and immediately goes to, like, the back of the store and pulls something out of his jacket. And he just gets a very bad feeling. He doesn't know what it is, but he just, like, the way he's acting, the way he's looking at him gets a weird vibe. And the guy walks up, and he's got a paper bag, and he has his hand in the bag, and he looks at him, and he says, "Give me the money." And immediately, this kid is just shaking like, oh crap, here it is. I knew this was gonna happen eventually. And he says, okay, yeah, sure, I'll give it to you. Just please don't hurt me. Like, I'll give you whatever you want. And the guy looks at him weird and says, dude, why are you so scared? And he's like, well, you're robbing me. Like, I'll give you whatever you want. Just please don't hurt me. And the guy pulls his hand out of the paper bag and is gripping onto a banana and says, no, man, it was just a prank. I'm messing with you. I'm not actually robbing you. And the person who sent this in to me is, of course, pissed and is like, dude, get out of the store. What's wrong with you? That's not funny. And the guy with the banana in his hand is like, why are you so upset about it? I don't understand. It's just a harmless prank. And maybe I'm stupid. I don't understand how this is a harmless prank. I don't even understand how this is funny. You're telling me that your entire idea of a prank is to go up to some person getting paid minimum wage who's in a situation where they are already thinking that being robbed is a possibility. You know, unfortunately, I feel like if you work at a gas station, you just know that it could happen. You're going to walk in and make them think that you're going to rob them, and then when they get scared, act confused about it and be like, no, it's a banana. I just don't think it's very funny. I don't get it at all. And I think a good prank is great. This reminds me of 2015 YouTube when they would just go up to people. Oh, I'm going to go up and take their wallet as a social experiment, and then be shocked when people would beat the crap out of them. Yeah, that's what happens when you take people's wallets. So they're arguing back and forth, and he keeps telling the guy, like, get out of here, dude. You can't stay here. Like, I don't care where you go, but you can't stay here. And they're arguing back and forth, and another customer that was in the store comes up and starts telling the guy to get out, and it's not funny, and he's lucky he didn't get hurt. And that's the other thing this guy's not thinking about, bro. Like, sure, it's really messed up to scare some poor minimum wage worker, but in 2022, you walk up to some guy with your hand in a bag and say, give me the money. There's not a 100% chance that you're leaving the store either. It's just such a stupid prank. There are so many things that could go wrong. And even if it quote unquote goes right, it's just not funny. How did you expect them to react? Aw, man, that was really awesome. You got me. I thought my life was in danger. And it was not. What a great prank. You sure are a cool dude. Maybe we could hang out sometime. I'm assuming this guy doesn't get invited to parties a lot, and if you're watching this, this is why. Because every time you go to the party, you start pretending to rob everyone and then act surprised when you get beat up for it. I don't know, bro. For anyone out there in a job like this, I don't know if people are this stupid often. I've never worked as a cashier. I just worked at a grocery store for a bit. But goodness gracious, this would have my anxiety on 11. If anything, I would be more paranoid after I got pranked about it. Because if someone is dumb enough to joke about it, then someone's definitely stupid enough to do it. Wherever banana prank guy is, you're a moron. Don't recommend. Leave the poor minimum wage workers alone. This one is just some next level smart laziness while also kind of being funny because the person he got one over on was bragging about how impossible it would be to cheat in their class. This guy goes to school and like the first day he's getting the names called off and the teacher stops on his name and asks him condescendingly if he has an older brother by this name. And he says yes, and the teacher is like, oh, yes, your brother was a good writer, but his behavior was, like just straight up first day of school, rude off rip. And that same first day, she proceeds to tell everyone in this class that she grades essays insanely hard and they should be afraid of having to write in her class because she was notorious for being ridiculously hard on writing. She's made students cry, she's made students want to drop out of school, and she's saying all this with a smile. I don't know, I feel like if I was a teacher and the feedback I got at the end of the year on my class was, you made me cry and I want to never go to school again because of you, I wouldn't think that was a flex. I'd be a little bit embarrassed, but she was wearing it like a badge of honor. And she says there's literally no way to plagiarize, you will get caught. She remembers everything she's ever read and graded. And he goes home and he starts talking to his brother about this teacher, and his brother's like, oh yeah, she was not very fun to try to goof off in, like her classroom's really hard. But every essay I wrote, I would get an A on. Do you want them? And he looks at his brother and says, well, how would I even use your essays? Like, how would that work? And this teacher had been at the school for a while, and she used the same essay questions every year. And then he asks his brother, well, what about her being super hard to, like, convince that it's not your writing? And he laughs and says, dude, trust me, she says that and everyone lets her believe it, but she could not tell if something was plagiarized to save her life. And I want to make a disclaimer. I'm not saying he should have plagiarized. Plagiarism is wrong, okay? Just write the essay. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That being said, I understand where the guy is coming from. So he takes his brother's essay, and on the first essay of the year, it's the same prompt, so he rewrites it, turns it in, and is insanely nervous. He's expecting any minute now she's gonna be reading it and look up and be like, you copied your brother, to the brig with you. The school has a brig now. That's how long she's been there. She still has it operational. A brig is the jail on a ship, right? I just want to make sure that I'm thinking of the right thing. Anyways, he turns it in, she's reading it, and she says, can you stay after class? And he's insanely nervous, but he stays after, and she says, close the door. And then starts gushing about how it was such great writing, and she's very excited to see what he writes for the rest of the year because it was fantastic. And he's like, yeah, I spent a bunch of time on it, worked super hard, really loved the reading material. And she says thank you, and he leaves. And he's feeling like the man, bro. Imagine someone telling you, there is literally no way you will be able to do this, and then you do it. And you do it so well that they compliment you for it. Wow, you did that so great. Thank you so much. You'd be laughing too. So he goes home and he tells his brother, and his brother's like, listen, just keep turning them in, and if she ever catches on, then oh well, but just see how long it lasts. And you would think at some point she would have become aware. At some point she would have gone back and double checked. But no, this guy proceeded to spend the rest of the school year turning in his brother's old essays and getting A's on them every single time. Literally the easiest year of his life, man. Could you imagine, like in English for a year, every time an essay gets assigned, you just go, meh, go to the pile, start going through it, pull one out. It's your brother as you turn it in. The teacher thinks she's the hardest grader on the planet, so nothing would get past her. Meanwhile, you're just racking in the 4.0 GPA, all because your brother was a good writer. And it's not like this guy didn't know how to write. It was just more of a funny thing because she was so sure that she would grade everything so hard and she remembered everything she had ever graded. Apparently not. And his brother wasn't some insanely long time ago. It's not like his brother was there in the 70s and it's the year 2022. She had taught his brother like 3 years before. So the iron trap of a memory that never forgets, apparently 3 years is the limit on that. Meaning that some dude out there could theoretically be turning in like his dad's papers and she would definitely not remember it. Or maybe it's only recently. Maybe she used to have the great memory, but she's getting older. It's like a superhero that just gradually loses their super strength. Either way, I just thought that was a pretty slick own for y'all. But on that note, I think that's gonna do it. If you enjoyed, please press the like button. It's a 40-minute video, guys. All news stories. I feel like I earned the likes, so click the button. And also, comment the word Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle down below. Otherwise, no joke, no scam. You will touch the ooze, and Master Splinter will train you to be their butler. Not a fun job. You know how much pizza crust you have to pick up on a daily basis? Beyond that, if you're new, subscribe, turn on those notifications. I would really appreciate it. And of course, you can listen to this on Spotify, link down below, along with a link to the intro song. And if you like the old reaction content that I used to do over on the Scrubby channel, I've been doing a podcast on my third channel, Scrubby, called Ryan's Rants, which is pretty similar. Feel free to check that out. And yeah, on that note, guys, thank you so much for watching. Happy Friday. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. Appreciate all y'all for watching. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace. All right, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here. And did you know scientists still aren't that sure why we dream? It's just kind of something stupid our brain does while we're comatose for 8 hours. But over the years, I've made some videos talking about like weird dreams I've had and whatnot, and I just thought you guys would appreciate all those in one video. So the original videos will be back tomorrow. Just figured I'd bring you guys a little compilation today. Sit back, relax, and enjoy, and I'll see you guys next time.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are all having a fantastic day. I know I am. And if you are, if you could press the like button, I'd appreciate it, because my body decided to get the flu, but I'm struggling through to record this so that way I don't miss an upload. So if you could press the like button, I'd appreciate it. I'm not gonna lie, okay, I've got the flu. I don't feel too good, so today, instead of a story, I'm probably just gonna rant about something that I find cool for like the next 10 minutes. So yeah, today we're gonna be talking about dreams and how weird that is. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy. If you do, let me know in the comment section down below if I should do more of these. This is probably gonna flop because the channel's been doing bad lately, but YOLO, let's talk about dreams. I think the weirdest things about dreams, for me at least, is the fact that everybody dreams in a different style, alright? Like, I think that's what's the weirdest thing. I know some people that have dreams that are super realistic. It's literally not even a vacation, you know? Like, dreams aren't exciting to them. Oh, I had a dream that I went to FedEx and shipped a package to my grandma. Which, I mean, that's cool, that's alright and all, but look, if I'm gonna have a period where I'm knocked out for 8 hours and my brain can do anything, I'd rather my brain be at least a little bit creative, okay? Like, I'm just saying, for you people out there watching this that are normal dreamers and just dream about normal stuff, I'm not saying that you're a bad person, alright? That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that your dreams are lame. Now, this next style of dreamer is where things get, like, a little out there for me and where I lose it. And that's the people that dreams are a little bit too unrealistic, alright? I like my dreams like I like my movies, okay? I want something cool, but I don't want them to be too out there, alright? Like, people who have come to me before and been like, yo, I had the craziest dream last night, ha, your nose was a clock, and every time the clock would strike 12, we were teleported to Narnia, where we had to fight the Wicked Witch of the West with baguettes. Like, that dream's too lol XD random funny for me, okay? If I can't keep up with the dream, then I just don't understand what's going on. If I wake up the next morning and feel like if I told anyone what I dreamt about, they would think that I was on some substances, I feel like it's just like too wild of a dream. But thankfully, and maybe I'm just biased, alright? I have the types of dreams that I really enjoy, okay? And that's where it's cool. Something's different, alright? Something about your life is more exciting, but it still feels realistic enough to be real. Like, for the period of a month, I had a recurring dream that I was Iron Man, alright? And that's kind of unrealistic, but the rest of the world was still pretty real. My parents were still there, all my friends were still there. I just happened to be Iron Man, and that was dope, alright? My arm wasn't made of French bread or anything, but it was just a nice time. So I think that's the best type of dream, alright? The dream that's kind of realistic, dude. But one thing that always freaks me out before I fall asleep, regardless of if I think I'm gonna have the best dream where I get to be Iron Man every night for 2 months, is the idea of freaking sleep paralysis, dude. I do not know what evil part of our evolution led to us developing the need to have night terrors or, you know, sleep paralysis. But whatever it was, it's cursed, and I think that we need to get rid of it, dude. I thankfully, knock on wood, have never had sleep paralysis, but I've heard stories from people that has, and that's just a big nope from me, dog. For those of you that don't know what sleep paralysis is, basically, you'll wake up in the middle of the night, alright? You can open your eyes, you can look around your room, but you can't move. And it's also during the state of sleep where your brain is, you know, kind of being hyperactive and supposed to be dreaming. So oftentimes you'll be looking around your room, hallucinating that things are going on in your room. But what's weird is a bunch of people who have had sleep paralysis have come together and talked about how basically they see shadow people watching them, or, you know, demons coming out from under the bed and messing with them. And this is like thousands and thousands of people agreeing that that's what you see when sleep paralysis happens, alright? And I'm counting it as a dream because, like, obviously it's a hallucination, alright? Like, yes, there's obviously no chance really that this sleep demon that came out from under your bed is gonna rip you open, alright? But all I'm saying, I just hit my mic on accident, that's embarrassing, is that your brain really does not always have your best interests at heart, bro. Like, your brain, for some reason, has developed this thing over thousands of years of evolving, where you basically wake up, can't move your body, and have to watch a demon stand over you for 30 minutes and just, like, watch it ominously threaten you, dude. The human brain just makes no sense. One night you can dream about waffles in the shape of Mickey Mouse becoming gold, and then you becoming a billionaire, or being Iron Man, dude. The next night you can dream about your girlfriend cheating on you. But but for some reason, oh, you mess up, you eat too many cabbages during the day? Nah, you're gonna fall asleep and wake up to a demon trying to make out with you. Every night before I go to bed, dude, I'm like, okay, I really hope I don't get sleep paralysis. And it's gotten even worse since a couple of my friends have started getting it, dude. Like, Benji will FaceTime me and be like, yo, dude, I just had sleep paralysis and saw a demon. I don't want to hear that from people I know, okay? Because it's easy for me to pretend it doesn't exist if all I see sleep paralysis on is Reddit, and I can be like, they're all making it up. But when someone you trust starts having it, that's when you realize it's real, man. And I'm really not trying to meet my sleep paralysis demon, okay? I don't sleep very well as it is, so please stay away from me. Speaking of demons that come to you in your sleep, though, does anyone remember from a couple years ago that, like, thing that went around the internet of this man where it was basically the picture of the dude that literally everyone sees when they sleep? I'm gonna put a picture of it on screen, but I guess, you know, apparently this dude is something that, like, 2,000 people have seen in their dreams that keep them awake and have, like, sleeping disorders or whatever. And I guess this man who appears in everybody's dream has all these different scenarios. Like, sometimes they're in love with him, sometimes he's trying to kill him, like, but the entire population, apparently, of people with sleep issues just see this dude chilling in their subconscious like that's perfectly normal, all right? This hairy eyebrowed man is just chilling with you every time you fall asleep. That's gonna be a no from me. But what is going on in everybody's head where apparently we're looking at this unibrowed man existing? Like, what is this, dude? I just don't understand. And this is people from multiple countries across the world. I guess this dude is just the generic face for sleep demon for some reason. I personally have never seen this man in my dreams, thank goodness. I usually don't dream about men, surprisingly, you know, no homo. Now, this sounds crazy, but like, I secretly kind of hope that our dreams are all interconnected and it's basically just us looking into a different dimension, all right? I know that's super sci-fi, but like, tell me you've never had a crazy experience where all of you guys have a similar dream, you know? There's been a couple times in my life where I've had a dream and I'll tell my friends about it and they'll be like, oh my god, I had the same dream last night too. And that makes me think that there has to be some weird way where like somehow it's connected, okay? Now, is that very realistic? Probably not. All right, I'm kind of sounding like a crazy person. Maybe the dude in my brain is paralyzing me and making me say stupid things on the internet. I'm just saying it would be really dope if you and the boys were secretly linked by like some brain network and you guys would dream together and be able to go on super dope adventures where you like saved Narnia. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm saying. It'd be the ultimate Xbox Live party. That's it. That's what all I'm saying is it would be really cool if somehow our dreams could like connect and link up and we could do dreams together. Plus, I feel like there has to be a little bit more to dreams because deja vu is something that I don't get either. I don't get deja vu often, all right? Like, I'm not one of these people that's gonna sit here, you know, go on Instagram. I can tell the future. I get deja vu so often that I'm pretty sure I'm clairvoyant and can see to 1987. Like, I can't do that, bro. But there's definitely like once or twice a year where I will dream of something like 3 months ago and it'll happen 3 months later. You know, that feeling is just bizarre. It makes me wonder, like, you know, is there something to that? I don't know. It could just be that you dream a lot and every now and then you get lucky. That's why it only happens once or twice a year. That probably makes the most sense. But we're ranting. We're just talking about dreams today. So we're going to pretend that, you know, somehow it's the future, okay? Whenever the deja vu feeling does happen, though, I always feel like, you know, I'm some expert, you know? Like, I feel like my third eye is opened and I can see through space and time for 5 seconds. And then I realize how dumb that sounds. But, I don't know. The mind is just a weird thing, dude. And I also am very unnerved by the fact that scientists don't know why we dream. Like, you know, every single person does this thing every night. And most things, scientists understand. Oh, why does your heart beat all the time? Well, you got to get blood around your body. And you're like, oh, okay, makes sense. My body needs blood going to survive. That's important. That's something that's important. Oh, my brain needs to function. It you know, does less at night so it can get a little bit of a break, but my brain is in control of my body. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Why do we dream, though? Like, why do we hallucinate at night and come up with scenarios that aren't real? Well, I don't know. We don't have an answer to that question. Guess we're all just a little bit psychopathic. Why do people dream differently? Hey, don't know. Don't even know why we dream. Like, what is the point, dude? I mean, I feel like most things make sense from a survival perspective. Like, oh, why do humans need water? Well, we need it to survive. That makes sense. But, like, dreaming doesn't really help us much. I've never come out of a dream and gone, dang, I sure am glad that I helped defuse a bomb and save Big Ben. I learned a lot from that. My life's gonna change. Like 9 times out of 10, when you wake up from your dream, nothing changes. So I guess it just doesn't really serve a purpose. Like I don't understand why we dream. And the fact that scientists don't even have an idea. They just like all agree to just not agree on it. Doesn't make sense because scientists are always arguing about everything, bro. Like scientists are always fighting with each other. And about a month ago, I made a video called Dreams where I just kind of talked about dreams and how weird they are. And you guys really liked it. And in the spirit of being locked inside and having to take a lot of naps to make up for the fact that the world is shut down, I've been having a lot more dreams. So I figured I would do another one, talk about some more stuff that I didn't talk about in the last video. And then I had a weird dream last night about me being on a cruise ship fighting a giant shark, which is why the thumbnail is what it is. So we're gonna hit it all, but yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Dreams are obviously a little bit bizarre for one super cool reason. It's an alternate reality that your brain just invents because you're sleeping. Like your brain gets so bored of your normal thoughts when you're comatose, it starts just putting you on cruise ship fighting Jaws instead of anything else. And dreams are cool, but like I said in the video I made a little bit ago about dreams, scientists don't really know why we dream. Nobody really gets it. Something that all of humanity does every single night, we just don't get, which is kind of terrifying. I think not knowing things is one of the scariest things as a human. Like the ocean in and of itself isn't very scary. Oh, there's a lot of water and fish. And then you start hearing that we've only explored 12% of the ocean, and for all we know, the Aquaman is down there fighting a war between Atlantis and whatever bad guys are spooking down there in the bottom of the ocean. Not understanding things is scary, and not understanding why humans just decide to create an alternate reality in their mind every night is something that I've always been curious about. A couple of you guys in the comments of the last video wanted me to talk about this idea that dreams like tell the future, and I really hope that's not the case because I feel like a lot of people do not have dreams that make any sense. Every now and then I have dreams that are relatively realistic. Like, I'm not always a super crazy dreamer. Something could happen, I guess. But if my dreams are telling the future, then a lot of stuff is gonna have to change. Like I said, my dream I had last night is me fighting Jaws on a cruise ship. So unless somehow this virus leads to people dumping growth hormones in the shark habitat at an aquarium, and then it somehow gets loose and starts attacking cruise ships, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be okay, and I hope my dream is not telling the future there. One story that I think is weird is, you know, the theory that we live in a simulation, that everything is just like some computer network and we're just a really complicated game of The Sims. That technically we can't unprove, and I'm not a scientist or anything, but I've watched a couple YouTube videos. I'm pretty sure that makes me an expert. And if we are a simulation, dreams could really just be the person who's playing us in the simulation loading up a new save. I mean, think about it. Maybe he gets tired of role-playing the YouTuber who constantly is addicted to a dead game like Overwatch, and instead wants to be the hero saving the cruise ship from sharks. So he just logs off his boring save and logs into a different one. And that's why all humans dream. Whoever's playing you in the simulation, the computer network that we're all a part of, low-key just wants to spice it up every now and then. And if you have boring dreams like, you know, most people do, and you just dream about work, but instead of doing accounting, you now work in economics, then the person that's playing you is just kind of boring. That's all it is. Like, if you have boring dreams, the person playing you in the simulation definitely is the type of dude to like eat a mayonnaise sandwich. No offense, it's nothing personal to you, it's just the reality of the situation. Obviously, if you have boring dreams, it doesn't necessarily mean you're being played by a boring person in a video game. But hey, at least it's some type of explanation. We might be in a video game, we might be in virtual reality. I don't want to believe that some South Korean boy is hacking play me in a simulation, but that just might be the case. Pyongyang might be controlling me right now in South Korea. Whatever really causes dreams, if it's a computer simulation, if it's just us being bizarre, I just really want to know what makes me have certain dreams on certain nights. Like, some days I'll just go to bed and my brain is just chilling. It's, you know, a normal Tuesday. I dream that I'm playing video games or something with the boys, a pretty standard situation. The next night, for whatever reason, my brain's like, last night we were playing Overwatch. Tonight, we're boxing Jesus. Let's go. WWE SmackDown. I just want to know what in your brain sets you off to like have a bad dream too. Why is it that sometime your brain is like, look, you really need a solid dose of fear right now, so I'm gonna make you think you are single-handedly responsible for the deaths of 13,000 people. It's not real, but we want to make you pretend that it is and make you feel all the real feelings until you wake up and realize it was fake. Like, if you have nightmares constantly, your brain is low-key kinky. It likes making you feel pain, because you wake up from a nightmare and you low-key do be scared sometimes. I remember one time I woke up from a nightmare that somebody was in my house, so I started, like, army crawling on the floor through every room to try to make sure there was no robbers. There wasn't, but I did get a solid core workout that night. But, yeah, like I did last time, though, go ahead and leave a comment down below of why you guys think that we have dreams. And also, I know this is literally in the middle of the video, but I'm about to tell the story about me fighting Jaws the shark. So you're more than welcome to, like, click off now if you just wanted to hear my rambling about dreams. But I am gonna be doing conspiracy videos. I know I promised that a while ago, and you guys are probably like, oh, Ryan, you suck, I hate you. But to be honest, they're just a lot of work to make like a 15-minute video about conspiracies. So I think I'm gonna do them over on my TikTok, which is at Scrubby with 2 S's at the start, because somebody is scuffed and took just Scrubby. And to whoever has that, not cool. But I think I'm gonna start uploading like conspiracy TikToks, a minute about a conspiracy theory, and if they do really well, then I definitely will find time to make videos. But if you like stuff like this where I'm just gonna rant and ramble about stuff that's happened or stuff that I think, then go check that out. If not, no pressure though, and now let's get into me fighting a shark. Alright, let's get into this stupid dream. So there I was. I woke up, or I didn't wake up. I woke up in my dream. That's a conundrum to say in and of itself. So I wake up and I know that I'm dreaming, but I don't know that I'm dreaming. Do you guys know what I mean? Like, it feels real at the time, but in retrospect, I obviously knew I was dreaming. But I wake up in this like hotel room, and I'm looking around and there's another bed with my brother in it, and then above me is like a bunk bed, and my friend Dark Dom, who's a YouTuber, is on that bunk. And I'm looking around this room and I'm like, all right, this is cool, I guess. I didn't know that I went to a hotel, but this is new. And then I realize that the entire room is rocking. So like, I go out to the window and I look and there's just ocean. So I figured that we're on a cruise ship, which is weird considering all cruise ships definitely should not be operating right now. Nothing like getting close to thousands of people who might be carrying any multitude of diseases for a week during a global pandemic, am I right? But my brain for some reason really wanted me to get tropical. So I wake up my brother and Dom and I'm like, guys, how did we get on this cruise? And my friend Dom is like, oh, you idiot, we've been on this cruise for a week. What do you mean? So I just figure that I've got amnesia at this point in my dream and whatever. We're just going to keep rocking and rolling and doing whatever we got to do. So everybody gets up and we go to eat breakfast. And we're like eating breakfast and I'm looking out the window. And I wrote this all down, by the way, as soon as I woke up, because that's what you got to do. If you really want to know how weird your dreams are, you got to write them down right when you wake up. Otherwise, you're going to forget 90% of the good details. Anyways, I'm eating breakfast with the boys. We got the view of the ocean. It's a pretty nice life, I'm not gonna lie. I'm feeling like I'm living in one of those travel vlogs where like the music starts playing and they're like, oh, yeah, you might wonder how I got here. I'm rich because my dad gives me a lot of money to drop out of college or whatever their story is. But anyways, I'm feeling like I'm in a travel vlog. I'm vibing and all of a sudden, Dark Dom points out at the ocean and goes, oh my God, look, a shark. And I'm like, huh? And I look and there is a shark at least the size of like 5 cruise ships swimming at us with the speed of, I don't know, what's something that's fast. Apparently not my brain. So I start freaking out and everybody else on this boat just doesn't react at all. They act like it's perfectly normal to be charged by a shark the size of a small island. So it's coming at us. I'm like, what do we do? What do we do? And my brother and Dom are like, we get to the battle stations. I'm like, battle stations? So we go to the side of this cruise ship and I'm not even kidding you. There's like gun turrets everywhere. But instead of a chain gun or something that could actually stop a giant shark, there's like Nerf pistols, like the 6-shooter Nerf pistols, the Maverick. And everybody just picks up the Nerf guns and starts loading them. And I'm like, guys, that's a giant shark. The Nerf guns aren't gonna hurt. And they look at me and don't say anything and just look back and start loading their Nerf guns. So this giant shark is coming at us and everybody's just apparently gonna Nerf gun it. I don't know how that's gonna help. So I start running around the cruise ship like trying to figure out a solution to prevent us from getting eaten by a giant shark, because I'm personally not trying to sleep with Davy Jones. He has squids in his beard, and I know some of you guys got some weird searches on certain websites where squids are getting put in people, and I don't want to be on that website. I'm trying to get out of here, so I'm trying to avoid the giant shark, and everybody else is just like chilling with their Nerf guns, getting ready to fight Jaws. So I'm running around the cruise ship, and I finally look back, and the shark is like maybe a football field away now. So I just kind of of accept that this is the end. I'm about to get wrecked. And the shark like jumps out of the water, and almost like something out of Shark Week, those slow motion shots just comes at the cruise ship, and I'm like, oh no, here we go. But then the weirdest thing starts happening. People start shooting their Nerf guns at it, and like the Nerf bullets push it back. Like it's like pushing the shark back. And so everybody just keeps shooting it with Nerf bullets. And so I pick up a Nerf gun and I start shooting the shark. And I'm like, wow, this is weird that apparently Nerf guns in this world are like big enough to damage a shark and push it back 900 feet. This shark weighed at least an Empire State Building. And apparently Nerf bullets are just ruining this thing's day. Oh, you know me. I'm not afraid of anything in the ocean. I eat Shamu for a light snack, but Nerf bullets, nope, nope. And then I woke up and I realized that I needed to make a video about dreams again because I don't understand my brain. Apparently, all cruise ships need to be safe from pirates and giant sharks is a Nerf army big enough to make every 12-year-old in the country diabetically drool. That's not really relevant to the video, but I just think it's funny that we're out here on like a broken folding table hoping my computer doesn't fall to record this video. I don't know, it's not the most ideal setup, but I really have just missed making videos a crap ton. The new house is cool and all, but like I really love making videos and like reading the comments and stuff. So while it's gonna be sick when it's all set up, it's not ideal right now, but I did end up canceling that one desk and just overnighting a different one from another company. So I should have a real desk tomorrow, and like videos should be back relatively soon after that. Like a bunch of videos, guys, because I'm super motivated, you know, but until that desk gets here, I'm kind of just stuck uploading on this channel because it's the only one I can do while holding my mic like a weird, you know, horrible stand-up comedian. Regardless of that little update on the channel, I don't know if it's like the new house energy or maybe the full moon or whatever's going on, but my dreams have been so weird lately. I've made 2 other videos about dreams, you know, and just like how weird they are. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's in the air. Maybe it's the fact that 2020 really is like the worst year to have ever existed ever on the history of the planet. But my dreams have been whack lately, dude. Last night, I'm not even kidding, man. I doze off. I'm like, look at me getting some peaceful slumber in my new house. It's gonna be a great night. I was really hoping it was gonna be a great night, dude. And I start having this dream and everything feels pretty normal. It's like a relatively normal day in my house, right? Dude, and then I go on my channel and I'm Jake Paul. Like I'm Jake Paul, but I'm not Jake Paul. Like my name is Jake Paul, but like I am Jake Paul. That does not make a lot of sense. So let me try to explain it. Every picture of Jake Paul, everything else about Jake Paul is now me. And I have to like live with the fact, and this dream feels real, that I am the internet's biggest douchebag who is out there looting, all right? Like that's what I have to think that I am. So I'm like, bro, I don't want to be Jake Paul. This is the worst dream ever. Out of every dream you could have, you know, of course I have a nightmare that I'm Jake Paul. Jake Paul is probably like low-key a fan of the channel and is going to watch this and be like, bro, what the hell, man? Why do you think being me would suck? I'm just saying, Jake Paul, you're facing 6 months in prison for trying to turn like a peaceful movement about, you know, a broken system in the United States into like rioting so you can steal stuff even though you're worth $30 million, dude. Like being you low-key sucks, no offense. So I'm now Jake Paul, right? Like I am Jake Paul, which is horrifying. And I'm just chilling in my house and I'm like, oh crap, man, I'm an idiot. Why would I do all this? I don't want to be Jake Paul. Like I'm really gonna have to change a lot about my channel. Like I'm freaking out. And there's a knock on the door and I open the door and it's the police and they're like, all right, Mr. Paul, you're coming with us because Jake Paul is definitely about to get arrested anytime in real life too. So I'm like, oh no. Oh crap. So I get arrested and I go to jail, right? And like they're processing me and whatever, and it feels real. And I'm like, damn, jail kind of sucks. I'm probably not going to do very well because if you guys know what I look like, I'm definitely not the type of person that would do very well in prison, okay? So like I get into jail and my cellmate is, I'm not kidding you, I don't know how this happened, Susan from YouTube, like Susan Wojcicki, like the lady that says that I can't say naughty words and demonetizes my videos. And I'm like, whoa, that's weird because I feel like jails and prisons are definitely separated by gender, but like whatever, Orange is the New Black with Miss Susan, it's a vibe, you know. I'm down for like, you know, hanging out. So we start talking to her and she's like, oh yeah, Jake Paul, like you're the worst, saying how much she hates me and all this stuff, but like whatever. I'm like, well, we're gonna be stuck in the cell together, so can we talk about YouTube? And she's like, yeah, sure. So I start talking to her and I ask her about my channel. I'm like, what about this channel? And she says, oh yeah, we're gonna terminate Scrubs and Scrubby, like we don't like him. And I'm like, oh no, even even if I was me, like, we're both screwed. I'm in jail and Scrubby is screwed. This is horrible. But I don't know if in this universe, like, Jake Paul was me. Did we just swap places? Like, I might have Freaky Friday with Jake Paul. That's a pretty weird dream. Anyways, me and Susan are in prison, and like, I'm like, don't worry, you know, the Scuff Boys are gonna come break me out. And the Scuff Boys is like my podcast. We don't upload a lot. We really should upload more, but it's just like, honestly, me and my best friends. So for some reason, I'm like, yeah, they're gonna break us out. And I don't understand how I got near the ocean, but like from my cell, I could see the ocean. So I spend a week in this dream, like just vibing in prison with Susan. And I put this all in my phone notes. Otherwise I was gonna forget it, because like I put this all down. So we're in prison, and you know, we're just living that prison life, and Susan is a savage in prison. Okay, I don't really know what she's like in real life, but she's starting fights with people and like, you know, doing bad stuff in prison, and I'm just kind of sitting there like, damn, I really wish I wasn't Jake Paul. I miss when I was just me vibing in my house having a good time without rioting. I just really don't understand why Jake Paul had to go looting, bro. Like, I really just don't get it. Like, what are you stealing, dude? You're worth $50 million. Just go buy it. So whatever, after a little bit in prison, one night, it's like me and Susan in our prison cell just vibing, you know, talking about life, and I hear like this noise, and I look, and over the ocean, I see like a speedboat coming. Like, you know, one of those speedboats that you see the super elite military groups use when they're like trying to be all stealthy, and sure enough, like, it pulls up to outside of my cell, and it's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, okay, like the rip dude, the guy in the Fast and Furious movies, you know, like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, massive dude. He's with my friend Dom from the Scuffed podcast, and Benji, who's like my brother. All three of them are on this boat. What a weird group. Apparently Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson joined my podcast while I was in prison, which, hey man, no complaints. That's some serious clout. I'm moving up in the world. Even in my dreams, The Rock is trying to join my podcast. That's why you gotta hop on now before the hype just gets to be too much. I love how I'm trying to act like I deserve any clout for dreaming that somebody famous knew who I was. Yeah, that's right, guys. I am a clout demon. So whatever, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and my boys put like this stick of dynamite on the outside of my cell and tell me to back up, and they like blow the side off the cell and alarms start going off, and I like hop in the boat, right, to leave, and Susan is like, I'll stay here and distract the guards, and I'm like, Susan, no, you really don't have to stay, like, look, we can hop on the boat, we've got time, and she's like, no, I'll stay, and I'm like, Susan, listen, you know, we've spent some time together in prison, you really don't have to stay, like, look, I know you've got kids, you know, you got a husband, like, we can leave, like, we're good, Susan. And she's like, no, I must stay. So Susan really sacrificed herself for no reason to like fight off the guards. I hop on the boat with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Benji, and Dom, and I'm like, all right, guys, let's get out of here. I'm really not trying to stay at prison longer than I have to. Like, I'm not feeling sentimental about it. When I'm hopping on this boat, I'm not like, oh man, I'm really gonna miss having to hold onto the soap so tightly in the shower. Like, no, that's really not on my mind. I'm like, yep, I'm totally good to leave prison. We don't have to stay here. So I hop on the boat with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Benji, and Dom, and we leave, and they're like, we've got a safe house, dude. And I don't understand what has happened in the amount of time that I've been in prison, because like right now, you know, we don't have safe houses scattered across the country. We're really just YouTubers doing dumb stuff. But apparently once Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson joined the podcast, these dudes like just became international criminals who are making tons of money because they have a safe house on the coast that we pull up to with like a secret dock. So I'm like, yo, you guys got to explain what's going on, because the last time I talked to you guys, you know, we were just normal dudes, and now you guys have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and are blowing sides in prisons. Like, what's the deal? And you know what I had missed, ladies and gentlemen? You want to know what being Jake Paul had gotten me? My friends and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson had become Power Rangers, because we walk around the corner into the secret hideout, and there's like, aye, Zordon. Like, dude, Zordon is sitting there, and he's like, hey, you know, we already took all the colors for the Power Rangers, so you can't be one, but like, your friend said that you could be an asset to planning, which, sure, like, what? Thank you, my friends, for standing up to me and going, look, yeah, I'm gonna take these superpowers. Ryan is screwed, but like, I guess he could be that nerdy dude with the glasses who just sits in the van. So, big thank you. Even in my dreams, I'm not cool enough to be a Power Ranger, dude. My own brain said, yeah, let's keep it a buck, Ryan. You're not a crime fighter. You can be the guy with the glasses who helps him. So, all my friends and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson were Power Rangers, and I was not. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit salty about it, because who would not want to be a Power Ranger, dude? Like, all of your friends are now now Power Rangers, you're the only one who's not, and they replace you with Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Like, it's just an L. So I was kind of upset, but like, whatever. And then, I woke up and I was like, dang, that was kind of a weird dream. And I immediately grabbed my phone because I was like, that was the weirdest dream I've had in a while. And these dreams videos are just kind of a thing on the channel now. It's like the weird series. Every now and then whenever I got weird dreams or something, I'll just talk about it, I guess. But yeah. I'm sorry videos have been missing, guys. This move has been a lot more stressful than I thought. It took a week longer than I expected to get internet, and my desk isn't here, so I am sorry about that. But big thank you to all of you guys for still supporting the channel. I promise uploads will be back soon, but yeah, that's going to be it for Dreams 3. If you liked the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It's probably not going to do very well because, you know, it's been a while since I uploaded and all that stuff, so if you could take a second to like and comment so this video could do better, I would really appreciate it. And if you don't know what to comment, just comment something about your last dream. Like, tell me what was poppin', and we'll see who has the weirdest one. And yeah, on that note, guys, if you want to cop some merch, you really should, because it helps out the channel. And I will see you guys next time with another video. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. Today's notification shout out goes to the very illustrious and occasionally sometimes handsome iDobe Matt. So big thank you for having on notifications. I really do appreciate it. If you want a notification shout out, turn them on, send a screenshot to my Instagram at Scrubby. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time with another video. I'm out. Peace. Oh, and if you really want to be cool, you could listen to the intro song. It's in the description. It's me and my friends. Thank you. Bye.
All right, so before I had gone to bed that night, I had just been sitting in like a server, in the Scuff server, with a couple of my friends. Dark Dom was there, Bumpkin, Fainted, like that group of guys. And we had just kind of been playing Among Us, doing our thing, just vibing, whatever. And I'm going to be honest with you, I have not played a lot of Among Us. Like, the gameplay you're seeing in this story are probably the only times I've ever really played. So I guess for whatever reason, because I was a noob, it was like super present in my mind. I had played that one time with a couple of my IRLs when my best friend, or like my friend, got mad at me, and I had played now, and then I'm in the gameplay. Like, those are the 3 times I've ever really played. So anyways, I guess it's in my subconscious because I pass out and I like wake up, not wake up, but I like open my eyes and I'm on this bunk bed looking thing, and I look around and everything looks kind of metal and like futuristic-y. And as I'm looking around, just trying to figure out what's going on because I don't really know what's popping, I walk by and Benji is there. And it's like the person, not the Discord avatar. And he lives in Norway. So I'm really confused. And he looks at me and like all nonchalantly just kind of explains that we're in Among Us right now. And I guess my own brain thinks I'm dumb enough where I need an NPC giving me a tutorial in my own head. But hey, I'm not sure if I should take that as an insult. Regardless, he kind of tells me that we're like in an Among Us ship and we got to figure out what's going on. And I'm going to be honest, when he tells me this, I'm not really too excited at the idea of playing Among Us, okay? I'm built for telling stories on the internet. I'm not really built to try to figure out who's sabotaging and throwing people out of airlocks. I'm gonna leave that to the professionals like Corpse Husband. I'm just not trying to vibe with any of that. I'm too nice to be accusing people of murder, okay? That's just not on my resume. All jokes aside, dude, when you're when you're like having a dream and one of your best friends tells you that somebody on this ship is an imposter, it doesn't feel too great because he starts walking around and he tells me that all my other friends are also here, like Dark Dom, you know, Fainted, Bumpkin, Cyrus, all those guys. And for some reason, I don't know why, he also mentions that Jake from State Farm is also in the ship. I actually did recently switch insurance. I don't have State Farm, so I don't know why Jake was there, but regardless, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe this is my brain telling me that I should have gone with State Farm. I made a mistake. Regardless, Jake from State Farm, we're all vibing, doing our things, and I start going and doing my tasks like a good kid, because that's just how I do it. I don't know about you, but I'm a team player in Among Us. You know, I get my tasks done. I try to help everyone succeed. I'm not a selfish type of MVP player. I'm the Tom Brady of Among Us. Some people would say, you know, I don't know who, definitely not anyone I've ever played with, but some people would probably say I'm the Tom Brady of Among Us. And I'm going about my business doing my tasks, and I'm going to be honest, it felt like the ship was a lot bigger when I was the one walking around it. Like, yeah, in the game, you know, I feel like I've got a good idea now. At first I didn't, but now I kind of know how to get around, dude. But when I was in my dream, dude, I'm lost. I'm like walking into walls and stuff, and I'm sure I'm not usually this dumb, but you try suddenly trying to like be in Among Us, okay? It's just a little bit
bit weird, and it's not, it wasn't like super exciting. It genuinely was kind of boring, because just imagine having a dream where you're walking around like emptying trash cans, dude. I'm gonna be honest, a lot of people think that like, oh, Ryan, you have such vivid dreams, dude. Like, do you dream you're in video games? Yeah, apparently the one time I do, I pick the most boring video game ever, where my job is to just like avoid getting yeeted and fix the electrical system, dude. I basically got the 9 to 5 simulator going out here fixing electrical systems like I'm an electrician. But anyways, as I'm going about my business, emptying the O2, emptying the trash, doing all that stuff, this emergency meeting gets called, and all of a sudden it's me and everybody, and we're just all around, and Jake starts talking about how he saw someone yeet PewDiePie in the control room, and he knew who it was because he saw him do it, and he points at Dark Dom, and I didn't even realize that PewDiePie had been playing, but apparently he had gotten his comeuppance in the Among Us control room. But Jake from State Farm immediately out the gate just starts throwing accusations at Dark Dom. And listen, I don't know if you guys do this too, but Dark Dom's my boy, bro. We have a podcast together. You know what I'm saying? I'm not about to let Jake from State Farm with his ugly khakis and OK insurance come in here and start accusing my homie of, you know, being mean to PewDiePie. Me and all my homies support PewDiePie, so I'm not a fan of Jake from State Farm. You can't come in and just attack my friend and accuse him of some awful stuff. So I turn around and I start yelling at Jake from State Farm that he has to be the imposter because he was so quick to throw out an accusation. You know, I'm not going to throw my friend out of an airlock because I just feel like that would violate bro code. What am I going to do? Hey, Dom, sorry. I know that we said we were best friends, but I'm about to throw you into space. Like, come on, man. Even if he was the imposter, dude, I can't do that to my friend. Maybe that's on me. Maybe that's why I have so many stories about my friends effing me over. But regardless, I can't throw Dark Dom out of an airlock, especially not with Jake from State Farm's word. Like, I don't know this dude. How do I know Jake from State Farm isn't a liar? Have you guys ever met him? I'm just saying, none of us don't know that Jake from State Farm would be really good at making people think that he's telling the truth in Among Us. We've never played with him. Regardless, Jake from State Farm immediately gets super defensive, and he starts accusing me of being the other imposter because I'm trying to cover for Dom. So now everybody's just yelling at each other, and this part seemed really familiar because this is just what Discord is like, when everybody's just yelling at the same time and you're like trying to pick out beats and pieces and you can only hear certain words from certain people at certain times. Like, it was just a confusing mess. But regardless, eventually we end up deciding that Jake from State Farm has to be the imposter because he got so mad when other people accused him of being the imposter that he has to have been trying to cover it up, which dream logic definitely isn't the best. Yeah, if somebody accused you of yeeting someone, you're probably gonna get a little bit defensive, especially if the punishment is like getting thrown out of the airlock. So my bad, Jake from State Farm, dude. I'm not saying it was the best logic, but we end up throwing Jake from State Farm out of the airlock. It was very sad. Everyone put an F in the chat. I low-key third imposter Jake from State Farm, but it wasn't real. Like, it was a dream, so I don't think it actually counts. Like, yeah, I might have accidentally third impostered a little bit with the iconic insurance salesman, but it is what it is. Nothing you can really do about it, and especially if it's in a dream. Anyways, it's like the next round, and it's me, Bumpkin, and Dark Dom. You know, the Scuffed Cast, which it is a podcast. I'll put a link down below if you guys want to check it out. No pressure, though. But it was me, Bumpkin, and Dom, the Scuff Boys, going around trying to explore. We're doing all our tasks, and everybody's having a good time. And out of nowhere, Dark Dom disappears for a bit, bro, and it's just me and Bumpkin. And we decide to just go to the reactors, dude. I don't know where Dark Dom went, but me and Bumpkin are just like, hey, we're going to go down to the reactors, do our thing, fix some, because that's just what we do. We take care of this ship. Everybody knows that Scrubby and Bumpkin are the ultimate maintenance duo. Who needs Esteban in the tip tin when you have me and Bumpkin? You know, that's what I'm saying. So we're in the reactors, and Bumpkin's telling me this story or something, and he stops talking, and I turn around, and Dark Dom is just yeeting Bumpkin, bro. Like, absolutely destroying him in the Among Us way, where you just for lack of a better term, just make their head no more be there. Like, he just yeets Bumpkin in Among Us form right in front of me, dude. He didn't even try to hide it. Wasn't trying to be sneaky. Didn't like take him to a corner away so he could hide it. No, he just yeets Bumpkin right in front of me. And I feel so betrayed, dude, because I just defended Dom. Like, I yeeted Jake from State Farm out of an airlock, dude. My car insurance is gonna be through the roof now because of you, Dom. I can never get a rate again. And you just betrayed me? Like, you let me be that dumb, bro? you couldn't even vouch for Jake and not make me look like an idiot. You had to betray me this hard, dude. And the fact that you got Pumpkin, we have a podcast. We're supposed to be cool, dude. You can't be going around eating your teammates. If I was playing Among Us with people from my podcast, and if I was the imposter, I just wouldn't hurt them because that's the bro code, man. You can't be doing that. Yeah, and here he was, straight up betraying the Scuffed Cast. And for what? For what, Dom? What'd you get out of it? Now you're just the bad guy in my story time, dude. And you know what Dom says in my dream, dude? He has the nerve to look at me and go, "You shouldn't have messed with a Reddit YouTuber," and he starts chasing me. So here I am, dude. In real life, I know nobody believes this. I'm 6'3", but here I am. I'm 3'6". I think that's what the Among Us people are, and I'm just trying to run everywhere with my tiny little legs, dude. I didn't know how short people felt when they were trying to exercise, but y'all really got to be feeling like hamsters when you're trying to run. I really do apologize. I sympathize now when people say their legs are getting tired, dude, because trying to outrun an angry Reddit YouTuber is horrifying when you only have tiny legs. Like, I was trying to be frantic. I probably looked like Wile E. Coyote in the cartoons where they're just drawing the legs as swirls because he's trying to run so fast. I'm probably going Mach 10, and he's just on my tail like, "You shouldn't have messed with a Redditor. You shouldn't have messed with a Redditor." And look, Dom is not a neckbeard in real life. Like, yeah, he makes Reddit videos, but Dom is not like a Redditor. You know what I'm saying? But for some reason, in my dream, dude, I look back, and this time, he's telling me that I should be afraid of the Redditor, and he has a fedora on. So I don't know what happened to Dom. I don't know if my brain was just like he's secretly a neckbeard. But the man is chasing me with a fedora on, all right? So apparently, for whatever reason, Dom just loses every amount of swag that he has in Dream World. So I'm running, and I'm realizing in my dream that I'm probably about to get crapped on by a Redditor with a fedora, dude. And nothing really makes you disappointed quite like that. Like, I'm not saying I ever expected to be chased through a spaceship by somebody trying to game end me, but if I did, I was really hoping that they wouldn't be wearing a fedora. Like, if I'm gonna go out like that, if I'm gonna go out with some crazy person chasing me, I'd prefer if they were like 6'7" and a super athlete who ran in the Olympics. So that way, when they catch me, I can at least be like, "Well, I tried," you know, a little bit. Sure, I'm gone either way, but like, at least then I can pretend that, "Oh man, you're just better than me." But like, dude, if Dark Dom catches me, I just take the L out here, man. Like, what am I supposed to do? How do I explain that to my grandma when I get up to the pearly gates? "Oh, my bad, the Redditor got me?" No, that's a bad idea. Anyways, I run into the cafeteria with the might of 1,000 men, dude, and I run over to that kitchen table, or the cafeteria table, I guess, and I press the emergency meeting button, and I come in, and it's me, Dom, Ben, no more Jake from State Farm, and then, like, some people I didn't recognize. I don't know, man. Maybe my brain just picked some side characters, dude. We on some main character stuff right now. Hi, I'm gonna interrupt the video for a second. I guess a majority of people who watch these videos aren't subscribed, so if you wouldn't mind taking a second to press the subscribe button and turn on notifications, I'd appreciate it. It's free. You can always unsub, but like, hey, I mean, why not? I post story times, dude. They can't be that bad, right? Regardless, as soon as I call the meeting, dude, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, dude, Jake from State Farm wasn't the imposter, so I think it was Scrubby, dude. I think Scrubby's the imposter, man. I really do." Because I third impostered, and I start telling everybody, no, do not put that foul action on me. Jake from State Farm's blood is on my hands. Yes, that may be true. On accident. I really do respect Jake from State Farm. He's done quite a lot for the insurance community. I mean no disrespect. It was really an accident. I just thought you were the imposter. What was I supposed to do? I was trying to keep my people safe. I gotta do what I gotta do. But ladies and gentlemen, although I might make mistakes, I'll tell you this. I'm not the imposter because it's that guy. And I point over at Dark Dom with his dumb fedora, and he has this smile on his face, dude, and he's like, "Come on, that's so unlikely. Me, the imposter? Are you kidding me? You're gonna have to come up with a better story than that to get people to believe you." And I'm like, "No, we were in the reactors, man. I watched you just straight up yeet bumpkin. Rest in peace. Rest in pepperoni." And then it happens, man. Like, somebody else asked me, "Why didn't you report down in reactor then? Like, why did you run to the emergency meeting button?" And I'm like, "Well, you know, he was chasing me. What was I supposed to do?" And they all are like, "I don't know. That's kind of sus to me. Seems like you were running away from him. You know, like he was trying to report and you tried to report first so that way you couldn't tell on you, or like you vented the cafeteria." Bro, they're all turning on me. I didn't do it. I just watched Dark Dom yeet bumpkin, man. Rest in peace, bumpkin. 2020 to 2020, dude. It's just a sad day. And I always assumed whenever I was going to be in one of these situations, like the person who was just wrong was going to gonna force Ghost in like in Star Wars. Like any moment now, dude, a glowing blue version of Bumpkin was just gonna stand on the table and be like, no, Ryan tells the truth. I was not betrayed. But even in my dreams, I take L's, man. So I'm just being accused of being the imposter and self-reporting and all this stuff, and I didn't do it. I'm trying to maintain my innocence, but nobody believes me, man, because I did kind of eject Jake from State Farm. Like, I understand their distrust. I really do. It was not intentional. I'm sorry, Jake. I really do regret it. But look, you were being sus, bro. You were just being sus. You were. You accused my friend too fast. I'm too loyal, man. That's what I'm learning from this. I really just have to unfriend every Reddit YouTuber that I know. That's how you avoid these situations in Among Us. Regardless, man, none of them believe me, so the vote comes, and sure enough, I get voted out. And I realize now how Jake from State Farm, truly felt in that moment, man. I was so mad, bro. I was really about to fight Dom, dude. So regardless, I get like tossed out of the airlock, which you're just really never ready for as a person, man. You might think you're ready to just face the blackness of space. It's not too fun. For whatever reason though, like I'm fine. Like I didn't die, which is weird. I feel like if I go out in space with no suit, I've always thought that I was instantly just gonna be like, oh no, no more. But apparently I was fine. I was just chilling, just kind of floating there, dude, just thinking. And then I woke up like a little bit later after floating in space for a bit, and I don't know why, like I didn't realize it was a dream right away, dude. So I picked up my phone, I sent Dom a text basically being like, I hate you, you know. But like I wasn't being serious, you know. I was just like, dude, why did you do that? Like I thought for some reason that he would have also known what happened. I don't know what I was thinking, man. And he just texted me back later that morning and was like, what are you talking about, dude? Like what are you talking about? Among Us last night when we were all playing? And I was like, no, I'll have to tell you later. And so we got in a Discord call. I told him everything. Bumpkin was there too, and they were like, honestly, man, you should probably post that on the Storytime channel.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm not really too sure like what goes on in my brain when I'm sleeping, but every now and then I have a very bizarre dream, and it's not very often I dream about the Scuffed Boys, all right? It's not like a nightly occurrence. But the other night I fell asleep, and I woke up, at least in my dream, in this like cabin thing, and I go out of the room I was in the cabin into this living room thing, and sitting there is Dom and Bumpkin, which are the two co-hosts for my podcast, The Scuffed Cast, which you can find a link to in the description, by the way. Always be plugging. And I'm kind of like, hey guys, what's going on? I guess brain, you know, dream me, didn't notice that anything was there. And they're like, nothing much, man, just woke up. Are you guys ready to record the podcast today? And I'm like, yeah, of course, dude. Absolutely. Are we like get the topics ready? Is everything good to go? And they're like, yeah, we just gotta go on a walk before we can record. And I'm like, you know, all right, that's a little bit weird. Usually before we record one, we're like drinking G Fuel or something, not really going on a walk and becoming one with nature. But hey, if y'all want to go on a walk before we record, that's cool with me. And as we're doing that, Bumpkin is like, I'm gonna go see if the weather's nice outside. And I hadn't looked outside yet, and he goes over and he opens the window, and it's really snowy. And as he's standing there looking at the snow, he goes, oh my god, guys, there's a tiger. And obviously when you're in a cabin, you don't expect there to just be like a tiger chilling outside. So Dom and I get up and we run over to the window, and sure enough, it's like the back of a tiger. There's a tiger kind of just walking through the snow away from the house. And I'm like, oh my god, that's a tiger. That's a tiger. Obviously, I had learned what animals were what at some point in elementary school, and I wanted to make sure everybody knew that I was aware of that. And me and the boys are kind of like, wow, look at that tiger, having a normal conversation. And then out of nowhere, Bumpkin says something that you never want to hear if you and your friends see a tiger. He looks at me and Dom and he's like, I'm gonna go fight the tiger. And you know, whenever your friend says something horrible like that, it's your job as his friend to make sure that he doesn't end up Tiger Kinging himself, bro. Joe Exotic's gonna throw on the EMT bomber again and just make sure Bumpkin's all right. So I start telling him, Bumpkin, please don't go fight the tiger, bro. Please don't. And he's telling me and Dom that, trust me, he's got this in the bag. He's got this in the bag, dude. He's been practicing boxing. Trust me. And listen, Bumpkin, I don't know if you're gonna see this video, bro. I don't care how much you've been boxing. I don't care if you could knock out KSI and Jake Paul both with one punch. You're not knocking out a tiger, bro. Like, that thing is an apex predator. I read this Wikipedia article one time about this tiger in India that ate like 150 people. I'm sure plenty of them punched the tiger, dude. dude. I'm pretty sure that's probably one of the main methods that they have when being bitten is to try to fight back. I'm just saying, I don't like anyone's odds of fighting a tiger. It's nothing personal. Bumpkin's a very tough guy, big, strong dude, but he's not winning this fight. So me and Dom are begging him not to fight the tiger, and he's just like, no, I can do it. No, I can do it. And then Dom leaves my team, bro. He starts telling Bumpkin, you know what, bro? I think you could do it. Like, I think you might be able to take it. And I look at Dom, and I'm basically telling him, like, why do you want Bumpkin to die, bro? Are you kidding me? He is not gonna win a fight against a tiger. And sure enough, now he starts hyping up Bumpkin, telling him that he can do it. He just has to do what they've practiced and whatnot. And I'm like, y'all are practicing fighting tigers? When do you guys do this? And sure enough, Bumpkin is hyping himself up, and he opens the door and runs outside and starts just going to the tiger. And as I'm watching him walk up to the tiger through the window, I'm yelling at Dom. I'm like, dude, we're about to watch Bumpkin die. Sick. Thanks, man. Like, this was so awesome. This is gonna make a great podcast topic. I'm all annoyed, bro. I'm getting ready to call 911. It's a dream, though, to be fair. I think in real life, we would just, A, not be fighting a tiger, and B, hoping my friends would not be stupid enough to fight a tiger. And he walks up to the tiger, and the tiger turns around, and it, like, starts snarling at him. And then something unexpected happens, bro. Usually, this is the point in real life where, you know, the human becomes tiger food. Oh no, rest in peace. He was such a smart guy, except for the part where he jumped in the tiger cage. But no, dude, Bumpkin just starts 1-2 comboing this tiger, dog. He starts wrecking it like it's no big deal. Just bow, bow, bow. The tiger's Nate Robinson. Bumpkin is Jake Paul. I am watching Bumpkin just beating this tiger, dude. And for about a minute, Dom and I are just like, oh my God, because he is just messing up this tiger. And the weird thing about the tiger is it's not like doing tiger things, you know, like lunging on him and trying to bite him. It's like standing on its hind legs trying to hit him back, which for some reason at the time in my dream I didn't think was bizarre. Like now in retrospect, that's when I should have known something was off, because tigers don't stand up on their back legs and start trying to punch people back. At least I'm pretty sure that's not how it works. Like imagine if that was how it went down when a tiger's trying to eat you. If you just challenge him to mutual combat, he has to get up on his back legs and have a boxing match with you. I still don't like my odds, but you know, Bumpkin is boxing this tiger, and finally the tiger goes down and stops responding. You know, it doesn't get back up, and Bumpkin comes back into the house, bro. He's all out of breath, and he's like, guys, I messed up. You really gotta come see this. You really gotta come see this. And sure enough, I'm like, all right, you just knocked out a tiger, but sure, show me. Let's see what you messed up on. For someone that literally just knocked out like a 300-pound cat, you're acting calm. So we go out there and we walk over, and something that I didn't notice before is that this tiger has like a bandana on, like I don't really know, handkerchief, kind of looks like Fred from Scooby-Doo looking thing, an ascot. And Bumpkin and Dom are like, oh no, but clearly they know something that I don't know, because I'm still confused. I'm like, what's the big deal, guys? Like, what's the situation? Why are we freaking out? And Dom looks at me and he's like, do you not recognize the tiger? And you know, as much as I would love to say that my time falling asleep to Animal Planet has given me some leg up in the veterinary world, I just don't think that's the case, because I'm not recognizing this tiger, bro. Maybe it was one of the ones from the Siegfried and Roy Magic show at one point, but I say no. And then Bumpkin and Dom are both like, bro, it's Tony the Tiger. And then I look, and sure enough, it's Tony the Tiger from like the box of Frosted Flakes, passed out on the lawn of this like cabin thing we rented in the snow. And so I start laughing. I'm like, bro, you knocked out Tony the Tiger, because, you know, at the time I didn't know this. It was very serious, but I thought it was hilarious. I'm like, what are the odds that you're gonna get in a fight with a cereal mascot and win? But Dom and Bumpkin are not laughing. They don't think it's funny, and they're like, Ryan, are you stupid? Why do you think this is funny? And clearly I missed the memo, so I start asking them how it's not, and they say that like the scuffed episode we were supposed to record today was, you know, Tony the Tiger being interviewed by us. And I'm like, Bumpkin, why the hell did you come out here and fight our podcast guest then? You guys knew that we were gonna have Tony the Tiger on the podcast, but then when there's a tiger on the lawn, you guys just go out and start beating it. Do you not see how that's a very bad idea? Nobody told me that, you know, oh, Nah, it makes sense there's a tiger out there because we're having one on the podcast. Did none of you think? And they're just looking at me like, dude, I don't know what to do. Dude, I don't know what to do. So we decide that we're gonna like take him into town to the vet and leave him outside and like just drive back because we don't want to get in trouble for beating up Tony the Tiger. Are you kidding me? He's an American icon. Obviously, I didn't beat him up, bro, but Bumpkin's my homie. I don't want him to get in trouble for fighting Tony the Tiger, dude. The last thing he needs is a scandal where like he's single-handedly responsible for giving a cereal mascot brain damage. So me, Bumpkin, and Dom like are picking up unconscious Tony the Tiger. We load him into the back of the truck that we had. I don't know whose truck it was, but whoever it was, thank you for letting us borrow it, bro. And we start like driving into this town, and Dom is giving us directions on how to get to this like veterinary clinic, right? And we're going around, and we finally get to the vet, and we look in the back of the truck, and like as we're looking in the back, Tony the Tiger starts waking up from this beating that Bumpkin has given him. And so we're kind of like, ah, because he starts moving, and he's like, ah, because he's waking up in the back of a truck with a headache and 3 guys screaming at him. And for some reason, Bumpkin gets out of the car and punches him again and knocks him back out. And Dom and I are like, dude, why did you hit him again? He was waking up. All right, guys, I'm going to interrupt the story time for just 1 second. On screen now is a PlayStation gift card. I actually give one of these away every single video here on this channel as a way to say thank you to everyone subscribed with notifications on. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications. It is much, much appreciated. I literally give away free money, so you got nothing to lose. And yeah, if you are one of the people that is already subscribed with notifications on, just know you guys help out the channel an absolute ton, and it's much appreciated. And on that note, I'll shut up and get back to the story. Enjoy. And Bumpkin is like, dude, I don't know, I was scared. I didn't want him to recognize us and tell him that it was like the Scuffed Boys who knocked him out. And we're like, you're so dumb, but whatever, fine. So we unload Tony the Tiger, and we're leaving him in front of the vet, and we go back, we get in the truck, and as we're leaving, this person in scrubs comes out and starts yelling at us. So we're like, ah, crap. So for some reason, we stop the truck, and Logan Paul is in the scrubs, and he walks over to us, and he's like, did you guys knock out Tony the Tiger? Did you guys knock out Tony the Tiger? And Dom's like, I didn't do it. Bumpkin did it. I didn't snitch. All right, I guess in my dream, you know, Dom was just trying to snitch on Bumpkin. That was pretty ice cold, bro. I was trying to help him get rid of Tony the Tiger, but hey, that's why I'm the best person on Scuffed. It's a simple fact. Regardless, dude, so Logan Paul is kind of like, well, you know, tigers get knocked out all the time, so just take him back with you. And we're like, what are you talking about? And he starts saying that Tony the Tiger likes to fight, so he deals with this all the time. Eventually, he'll wake back up and to just deal with it. And we're like, no, dude, we're not taking an unconscious tiger back with us. Like, you're gonna take care of him. And he's like, no, I'm not. You guys are. And at that point, we're like, all right, okay, bye. And we just start driving away, bro. And Logan Paul is yelling at the car. He's like, get back here and get the tiger. Get back here and get the tiger. And we're like, no, we don't know what to do with an unconscious tiger, bro. So we leave. We go back to the house, and we're just kind of hanging out talking about how crazy it was. And then there's a knock on the door, and Bumpkin goes and he answers it, and Tony the Tiger's there, and he's like, hey guys. And we're like, oh, hey, what's up? And he's like, sorry about earlier this morning, you know, I just sometimes get in a mood and like to fight. Is it okay if we still record the podcast? And all of us are kind of like, do you remember this morning? And Tony the Tiger is like, yeah, Bumpkin and I got into a fight. You guys loaded me into the back of the truck, took me to the vet. You guys argued with the vet for a bit. Like, apparently homie remembered the entire thing, and for some reason still really wanted to come on the podcast, bro, which, you know, I personally, and I'm not Tony the Tiger, I can't speak for him, if I was ever gonna go on a podcast and they greeted me by knocking me out unconscious, putting me in the back of a car, abandoning me at a hospital, and just being like, your problem now, I wouldn't exactly go back and want to be on their podcast. For some reason, Tony the Tiger, though, like, must have just been in the mood to talk for a bit, because he was hell-bent on being on the podcast. So obviously we're kind of like, sure, yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know why not. And then me, Dom, and Bumpkin proceeded to record a podcast with a cereal mascot that we had earlier knocked out twice, and then left with Logan Paul all who didn't want to take care of him, and for some reason, he was super chill about it. Really did not seem too bothered. Anyways, guys, I think that's gonna do it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. I know this series is a fan favorite. They don't get a ton of views, but I know all the loyal people really like it, so thank you guys so much for that. I really do appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed, if you wouldn't mind taking a quick second to just press the like button, it does help the video do better, and it is very, very much appreciated, and leaving a comment helps even more. If you don't know what to comment, just go ahead and comment your favorite cereal down below. Maybe we can get a chain going. Sorry if it's Frosted Flakes. If y'all want more content, you can check out the Scuffed Cast. I'll put a link to it down in the description, or there's also a link to the intro song down there if you boogied with it and you feel like giving it a listen. The only other link you need to know about down there is, of course, the link to the merch store. It's pretty fire if you ask me, even though, you know, I'm pretty biased. Instagram's at Scrubby, Twitter's at Scrubby_69, and yeah, on that note, guys, I think that's gonna do it for the video. Hopefully I'll see you guys next time with another one. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.